Hello, hello. Hello? Okay, so that's working? Hello, hello? Looks like that. Is it working? Let me see. Okay. Let's see. That's not good. Hello? Testing. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. I think I got it. How's it going, guys? Sorry about all the audio issues. Man, my YouTube is really lagging. Hey, Builder BB. Hey, Talanax Armory. Hey, Louie. I think that's it. I'm trying to pay attention. I got a tablet there, too. Hopefully, Andrew will be on soon. Is he on now? Oh, hey, Andrew.
I am just finishing up organizing these photos I took from Endwar, and I will be posting them momentarily. Sorry for the delay. How's it going?
Audio issue hell, but I figured it out, I think.
I think you did. I just checked the YouTube link, and it looked like you were getting audio right when I turned it on. So we should be good. How is everyone?
The kids and stuff, they're the same, but older.
But older?
Yeah, just more stuff. Luna's trying to get her driver's license finally.
Uh-oh.
Her driver's school. Now the car.
We're all in trouble. We're all in trouble now, then.
Liam's. He's becoming a teenager, so.
Very cool. Yeah, I saw that you did the Richmond Autism Society Nerf event.
I didn't hear you just now.
I saw that you posted that you
hear
just
me?
did. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Guess not. I can hear Danny.
Hard.
Mic check 1 2. Mic checker 1 dose. Great.
Oh no, that's terrible. I should not have done that.
Can you hear me?
Oh, what the hell?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm having. I don't know why this freaking Bluetooth wants to go out on me. Let me see if I can.
It's both live stream also on YouTube, so I have it. That was not the one I wanted to do. Oh, too late.
All right. Now I'm hardwired. We still getting audio on YouTube.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. I was like, I hope so. I'm hardline now.
I'm going to pull up to the weekend, see the comments. What's that one I want to do? Come on. Oh, gosh, do I look like that? No, where can we see the comments? Oh, there we go. Everyone here?
I think it's just me and you, buddy.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think anybody else was free to jump on. But, I mean, heck, that's fine. I mean, I only need you, Andrew.
Oh, you need me.
You have so much content and so much experience in the scene that it's just and there's not too many more people that do have more experience, right? To be honest.
Sure. So. I'm sure there are, especially going to Endwar. There's a lot of people that have been in the hobby community much longer than I, and much more influential. I just spam a lot.
That's all good. You know what happens with the old dogs? The new blood takes over.
Instead of Dartsweep, my name should be Sir Spam-A-Lot.
Sir Spam-A-Lot? No, man. Somebody's got to be posting. You notice a lot of people's posts change over time, to like just reviews. They used to mod or like, I don't know. You've got a certain niche on the videography with the music and the gameplay and the reviews mixed in. So I think you're much needed content in the hobby.
Thanks, man. I think I mentioned it before, but I'm currently just finishing up posting these Endwar photos that I managed to capture. Unfortunately, I didn't get as many photos. I haven't been actually, as of recently, getting as many photos and taking as much video as I want to, because I got easily distracted having fun and playing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but
no, that's not a bad thing.
But yeah, I got home and I was like, man, I didn't take as many photos and videos as I was hoping, but I'll be able to put something together that will hopefully be able to present some type of cohesive experience. But I saw that you just did the Autism Society Richmond event.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, always giving back to good cause like that, where fundraising is amazing, but like I like it because it's an experience where I get to go play with people who are living with autism and may not have all the opportunities to have the same experiences, and I get to share something I love to participate in and get to include them in that. So it's pretty cool, especially since now I'm on my second year. I'm like seeing some of the same campers from last year.
Right.
And it's cool. Like one girl, like it's funny, she's so much taller this year, but then like she has a little single load bow strike thing pistol that like the bows flip out when you prime it.
Right.
I don't know if I have one near here, but she took one home last year. I gave away blasters last year, of course, let everybody take one home. But when she came back this year, like that was the first thing. I have doubles and triples of some of those things, but she picked that one up again. I'm like, I remember you from last year. You picked that same blaster up last year and you took it home. I was like, you still have it? She's like, yep. Just proud as can be. And I don't know, those moments are always nice. So it's nice to give back.
All right. Well, BB said, Dartsweep is the host with the most.
No, BB knows. BB knows what's up. So if we want to talk about old school and new school modding, that guy dabbles in everything from like, rival packs to, Arduinos to like hardcore brass breaches. I mean, I learned a lot from watching BB. So shout out to BB. Thank you for
shout out to BB.
Yeah, always being there and pushing the envelope and doing things the same but different than everybody else, to be honest. So
I had
BB mods.
Yeah, I had a really good chance over one of the things I wanted to talk about. A few things were, a lot of things. It's been a while since we streamed, but one was Passive, the Pennsylvania Survival Fest. And Brian Beebe was there, and we actually got a chance to hang out and talk much more than we ever have, which was fantastic. And there was a couple blasters I had to talk myself down from getting that he had a really good working Spectrum kit. I think it was Band Blasters or something, but I have one, and my trigger was sticking. And he told me that he had a similar issue, and he's like, "Oh, you got to do this." And I was like, "Duh, why didn't I think of that?" So I really appreciate the tip from Brian with that. And I still haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it, but that's definitely on my list. And he had a table. I think he was sharing with France, and they had all sorts of stuff. But there was definitely a few blasters on the table that I had to talk myself down from getting. I was not so lucky this time at Endwar. I told myself I wasn't going to get anything at Endwar, and Containment Crew showed up. I don't feel too bad about it because it's something that I wanted to get for a while and just didn't get around to, and then the opportunity was there. But Charles was there, and he had just gotten in the full auto Nightingales.
Oh, okay.
And he was like $80. I was like, oh man, I might as well, because you get it through Amazon Pay tax and everything. And again, it's something I wanted, and I didn't want to get the actual kit where the DIY kit, do it yourself, and have to deal with shell cutting or getting a different shell and doing it myself. I just wanted something that worked in it. And I ended up running it for HVZ, for Endwar, actually. It became my primary. It was that good and extremely effective. I highly recommend the full auto, the full auto version of the Nightingale if you get an opportunity. I have a live stream going on my desktop, and the delay just happened where my phone fell down, and I got confused for a second. But
yeah, I just dropped my phone too. I hate being tethered, but my Bluetooth is not. It's going in and out, so I'm not dealing with that. So let's talk. Let's talk about
Louis on here, and I have to apologize, Louis. I am so sorry. I know I'm extremely behind on the challenges. I think I'm like 4 challenges behind, and I feel bad because I asked Louis to set the whole thing up, and I just keep getting distracted with other things and haven't gotten a chance to do it. But I'll do kind of what I did last time and do a batch for all the ones that I missed and try to catch up. And I on the last challenge I did, I just didn't see the angle correctly, and I ended up making the challenge way harder than it should have been. And I remember double guessing. I was like, is this the way that he's supposed to set it up? And then afterwards, he was like, you set the cups up wrong. And I was like, oh man.
I think I saw that message.
Yeah, and he's like, you can redo it if you want to. And I was like, yes, please, I will be redoing it. Thank you. So yes, I am so sorry, Louis. I will catch up on the challenges. Hopefully this week I can do a good bunch of them, the ones that are due. So I encourage everyone, even if you are behind or haven't played yet, just backlog, go through the challenges that Louis put up and join us. It's a lot of fun. Different challenges, you got different cup target variations, and you have to try to shoot around them and score points and everything. So it's a lot of fun. What do you guys call it? The HVZ Lockdown Challenge. But
that's Lockdown HVZ. I don't feel bad though, because I'm the one that told you to kind of push. You should try it out too, Andrew. And I haven't been on that thing, any of it, for months now. Just just work has gotten busy and I had a promotion and just I'm trying to get caught up,
You know what it is for me is I don't want anyone to see my lack of skill. I don't want to have to subject to anyone just watching me miss over and over again. So I'll go with that. No. But I will catch up with that. And yeah, like I said, I just wanted to talk about Passive, Endwar. We got APOC and BPOC coming up, and also we've had some pretty exciting blasters come out. So, like the Long Shot, of course. I know that you're modding that right now, and the Momentum and the SBF are dropping. So yeah, I feel like we have a lot to talk about. Hopefully, we'll get some people to join us. And if anyone wants to join the Discord and the stream, join Danny's Thirsty for Foam Discord and hop on in. Join us. The more the merrier.
Yeah, I know Louis. I know Louis on. Louis is able to hop on if he's free, but he's kind of like me. Sometimes he's tethered to the wife, so I know sometimes you don't get to make those choices. Let me see if give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find a screwdriver nearby, because I can't open this thing without one. Give me 1 second.
I'm not sure how many people are currently watching, but if you guys have any questions or anything like that you want to ask, now might be a good time. I'm trying to engage with the chat more. How many people are in the stream? I can't even see.
All right. So there.
Brian said, yeah, I can hear you. BB said, I'm testing the X shot long shot with the pilot spring metal plunger tube and brass barrel. Are you doing that right now? And if so, can you let us know what happens? I'm very interested.
Yeah. So he says he's putting brass
Wormy and Tally, what's up? How are ya? Wormy and Tally were a couple of the head moderators from UNC Charlotte that hosted us for Endwar. So welcome.
Awesome.
We will be discussing Endwar at some length here, and but I will go ahead and give you guys a preview shout out, I guess. Wormy and Tally did a fantastic job hosting and creating missions for Endwar, and I think everyone had a great time, which is all you can really ask for. But I wanted to just do a recap at some point later on, talking about what went on at Endwar, because I very much had a great time and enjoyed myself. Alanax, what's up, buddy? You're just over here loading mags for tomorrow. You got a war tomorrow. Mine's on Sunday, so I get a day off. I'll be honest, I'm still recovering from Endwar weekend. It was hot. I got home on Monday, and I think I was in bed, stuck there until about Wednesday or Thursday before I was able to be motivated enough to have some movement and get out of bed. But yeah, I know we just talked a little bit about it before, Danny, but can you tell everyone a little bit about the event you had, and just in general? I know you just went over it briefly, but people just started arriving. So you had it's the Richmond Autism Society.
It's the Autism Society of Central Virginia. So I think they have a few different chapters, maybe in Virginia. So this one is for Central Virginia. So it's a small summer camp that includes different age groups. The ones I'm working with are probably in that 12 to 13-year-old, maybe even a little older teenage range. And I come up and set up barriers and bring hundreds of Nerf blasters and plenty of ammo, and then on this I do 2 events, and on the second one I'm going back on the 20th. I usually give away a blaster, just let them pick out whatever they want. All of it was thrift stuff, thrift store prices for me anyways, so But yeah, it's a lot of fun just playing with, especially doing it a second year. I said before that I got to see some of the same campers from last year, seeing how they've grown and matured, and seeing that some of them, their blaster preferences haven't changed, and they'll pick up the same one from last year or one that they took home. So that's kind of fun to interact. Definitely.
And how many people or kids or attendees would you say participate in that? And second question is, how did you actually get involved with that?
So my wife, she is a SPED teacher. So it is, she has a lot of connections in special education community, of course. Because of that, she just comes across anybody in special education. So if I need a connection in fundraising or doing something with a community group that deals with that, it's real easy for me. So I know some people, it's hard to, even know where to start, but I guess I kind of have an easy in. So, but yeah, I mean, I just started talking to the director, and it just came to fruition. He's like, "We're having summer camp. Let's come and try it out." And I just said, "Hey, you need some eye protection, and I'll bring everything else." And it's a small indoor event, probably about, how many kids? Probably anywhere from about a dozen kids, but then we have camp counselors also included. So they definitely do play, and some of them are actually more hype than some of the campers, at least in the beginning, till they start getting tired. You can see that they get tired pretty quick.
I saw that in the video. It looked like the counselors or the adults were going pretty hard. And then I think it was Liam, but he looks a lot taller than I remember. But I think I saw Liam going for a flank around the side and getting one of the counselors.
Yeah, that was him. Was like a rampage or something like that. Yeah. That was definitely him.
Funny.
Yeah, he's about 5'7.5", maybe almost 5'8" now. So he's starting to get up there. He starts 8th grade here pretty soon.
Eating Wheaties. What are you feeding these kids?
He eats a lot of rice, kind of like typical Asian kid, and then sandwiches. He'll just eat sandwiches throughout the day if he's hungry. Just meat and cheese on bread with mayo. Yeah.
I just want to go to the chat. Talanax, it says we got to talk about hydration options if you were still down Monday. Yeah, it was, I want to say, so at Endwar, it was probably 95 to 100 degrees heat index at the very least. I used to live in Savannah, Georgia. I went to college there at Savannah College of Art and Design. This was back in very early 2000s. I graduated in 2003. And yes, I'm sorry. I am old. Sorry to surprise some of the viewers. But I definitely feel like that was on par with the heat in Savannah for sure. And I don't think I've experienced that for almost 20 years at this point. So I was not expecting that, but I think for the most part, everyone that was there just really wanted to play. So we played through the heat, and it was still a lot of fun. So we got ramen in the house. Pedialyte is awesome for bouncing back hydration-wise from the day of Nerf in the summer.
Pedialyte.
What is Pedialyte? Someone's going to have to nerficate me on that. It's
like Gatorade. It's like when kids get sick, it's like a medicine version of Gatorade. So it's like a watered down even Gatorade for them to drink, basically.
I mean, I'll be honest. With that heat, I'll take anything. So
yeah. Basically, it probably has elevated amounts of electrolytes. I mean, to be honest, the best thing you can probably hydrate with is high alkalinity water, which you can just buy by the jugs in some grocery stores. So,
I personally was just in general. I think this year's been pretty good, great actually for having events because I know a lot had kind of up as a result of the pandemic and everything. So it's nice to see that these events are coming back and people are able to start attending again. We had
rain, man. Rain is killing me.
Rain? You just talking about regular Sunday Nerf
for
board?
me, you have an indoor place, but man, when it rains and it's that day we planned a month ahead of time, it kills me.
Yeah, so DMV is indoors, luckily. So we're lucky in regards to the fact that we don't have to worry about weather. But Maryland Nerf Herders is outdoors still, and so is Southern Maryland House of Nerf. And in fact, Southern Maryland had to cancel their first two openers for March and April due to rain. So we didn't actually have our opener until May. So that was pretty painful. But it gets hot here too, you know. But I mean, it yesterday I want to say it felt very similar to North Carolina in Charlotte. So the earth is heating up. I think they said it was like the hottest day on earth. Some of the hottest days on earth. So, but yeah, we had Maryland Mayhem back in April. I may be biased, but I thought that went extremely well. And then
it was a large part of the community. From what I hear.
And then, RAG was announced. So hopefully they'll be able to have their event. I know Humans vs. West was supposed to happen, but I guess there were some logistical issues. So I'm not sure if that is still happening at this point. And then I'm just happy that Endwar was able to happen because I know there were some logistical issues with that to begin with. And the announcement was made back in May, I think. So I'm happy people were able to attend that with those circumstances.
From what you've been, I know you're a positive person in general, but I guess we all know that it was very short notice. So, I thought I'd go ahead and mention we all acknowledge that. So how was the event? It seemed like you were having a lot of fun.
Great. I kind of want to start off with go in order, though, I guess, and talk a little bit about Passive, the Pennsylvania Survival Fest, and then get to Endwar, just so we can go chronologically. But I see that you're working on the long shot. I guess before we get started, if anyone has any questions or anything like that they want to throw into the comments, we can answer those. Otherwise, just I like to talk about the long shot because that's what everyone's been talking about for the past month since its release. So tell me what your thoughts were when the long shot was actually announced, and then getting it in your hands and just your overall experience and what you think its place is in the community hobby at this point.
I think, there's like before it came out. So before it came out, I'll start there. There's a lot of speculations. I was one of them. It's, we all know what X-Shot brought to the table previously. We've never seen a Pro Blaster, but we all know the plastic. We know, we've seen the new printed skins on all these blasters. We know that's beautiful. But we also know from even myself modding like the Reflex 6 and other small blasters, Springers, that the plastic is on the weak side. So when you start really overpowering stuff, like stuff goes. So, in the beginning, I was pretty, kind of wary on where that was going to be.
When you say plastic, what plastic are you talking about? Are you talking about the shell, or are you talking about the plunger tube? Yeah. What are you talking about specifically?
So for me, the plunger tube I didn't know yet because we never really experienced like a clear plunger tube on an X-Shot blaster before that's like exposed like that. So I'm talking about just general shell, just from any of the older X-Shot. Like I remember like even the Bug Attack line stuff where it was like those green shells was the blue fake goo that was on them. That line was actually even cheaper plastic, or even before that, they had the yellow X-Shot blasters. That was even cheaper plastic. So each iteration, they actually did start getting a little better grade in plastic, but it was never on level of Nerf, or even Dart Zone was probably ahead of them at that time as well. Some old Dart Zone shells are actually super robust just because there's no room for any flex or error. It's just all compact, some pistols and stuff that they have. But yeah, so weak shell is what I think everybody was speculating. And then when it did come out, before I had one, you started even hearing about the cracked plunger tubes. So I had a theory before I got one, actually, that you know, at that $30, it's $29.99. You know, it's under $30 as full retail. We're not talking about a sale price. Like right now, the Dictator is on sale for $25, and the Dictator is a beautiful blaster.
It's fantastic.
But you know what? The effort I put into this for moddability, like a top end on modding, I want to say besides we have to exclude the plunger tube, because I did do something with the plunger tube. Besides the plunger tube, you know, it's easier to mod. It just is. You know, to stick a barrel in. Like if the plunger tube was fine, it's super easy to mod, and the top end is higher than any store-bought blaster I've had, especially at that price point, and that's full retail. But anyways, we started seeing the plunger tubes. I kind of
hear Silver Fox is releasing a metal plunger tube, and I think I saw BB post something as well. So we should be looking forward to those once they get released.
I think BB said in the comments that he was doing. I think he says he was doing an aluminum plunger tube still. I'm actually really surprised. Maybe. He must not be able to find a brass sizing, because I know he's a brass fan, so I'm surprised. He could do a brass plunger tube, but I only found sizes in China. So you'd be waiting, you know. But they do have a brass size 42, 40, that's exact fit of this plunger tube in brass. But brass, we all know, is the smoothest manufacturing. It's always the most consistent in ID from lengths one end to the other. So that would be the most optimal plunger tube probably to get, would be brass. But can't find the size here, man. Now the Silver Fox, they do have they released the clear plunger tubes, the polycarb. I actually have a polycarb in this one that I ordered off Amazon. I don't know if you guys can see that it's clear, but it's clear. It's not the red stock one. The size on this one was wrong. It's a little bit too big, and it's actually even thinner than the stock plunger tube. But I believe it's a different material, but there's a lot of flex in it. But once you get it sized with an O-ring, it actually works decent. For me, it's not the most optimal setting versus the aluminum, but you know, if it was a little bit thicker, maybe it would work better. I'm curious to know the dimensions what Silver Fox is selling, because it's only $5 that they're selling it for. But I'm curious if they're actually selling this a little bit too thin polycarb that I've actually found on Amazon, and they are shipping you new O-rings, so that might have something to do with the wrong sizing. But I'm speculating. I don't know what tube or where they sourced it from. I do recommend, if you can wait for aluminum plunger tubes, that's going to be your best bet.
So go to BB.
Go to BB, or I mean, everybody's getting them sourced in. They're just all waiting them. They probably got some long lengths that they ordered from China, and it's coming in slow boat, you know, free shipping, and they're just waiting 3 to 4 weeks, and then they're just going to get them and cut them. You know, that's what I would think. That's what I would think on the business side.
All right. Not to interrupt you, but I just want to let everyone know that my photos are finally ready to be posted. I'm sorry it took so long. I just got done with them. I'm posting them on my personal Facebook page, and I will share the link momentarily. Hopefully it uploads, because it took way longer than I was anticipating. And again, I am so sorry I didn't get as many photos and videos as I wanted to, just because I was having so much fun participating. I'm not sure if any of you guys know this, but Danny knows, but I run DMV Nerfers as well as help admin 2 other Nerf groups, Southern Maryland House of Nerf and Maryland Nerf Herders. So I don't always get a chance to participate in actually playing, and then when I finally do, I get distracted and forget to take photos and video. But Yeah, so let me post this. Boom. Wait, let me just gotta make sure. If anyone has any questions or anything that you'd like to throw in the comments, they're more than welcome to. Chris Harper joined. Chris Harper. Chris, what's up, buddy? He said he just got my X-Shot long shot up to 290 averaged today. Danny was a witness. That's awesome.
Chris is
what black magic was this?
Springer. He beats me by a lot too.
So what was in Chris's long shot?
He's just jamming in a whole bunch of K25 like I did, but for some reason we were actually trying to discuss exactly what the difference is, and one of my theories is Chris lives in much higher elevation than I do. So I was thinking that maybe the air densities is even a little different. So if the air density is different, the darts are going to be a little bit different and react different in the atmosphere. Kind of like, how darts that are lighter go faster FPS. If the air density in general, if you're in a higher elevation, it could possibly affect your FPS overall on something that light, on something heavier, it might be more negligent. Like a bullet or something, like a large caliber bullet. But, we're dealing with light less than one. These are, the max darts are less than 1 gram. So doesn't take a lot to affect FPS. But yeah, he's always getting higher numbers than me. He's a master tuner. No excuses, dude. He's always hitting high numbers, no matter what altitude we're talking about. And that's just a theory,
Yeah. So Chris, if you want to share your formula in the chat, I'm sure people would appreciate that. But if not, I completely understand.
Yeah, and you guys go ahead and emulate it, and you'll get close. But his numbers are going to be just a little bit higher. And he's got a good chronograph. I know he's got a good chronograph. He's running a Caldwell with a good light kit. So,
and I guess it also depends on which darts you're using as well. But I remember when I first heard about the long shot, I was like, damn, that's a winner. It just sounds like a winner. A $30 links, and then just based off of the speculation, I was thinking it'd probably be pretty easy to get that up to 200. So you're basically paying $30 for a lynx. My question I've been asking is, I feel like there's been a few game changers recently within the hobby, and I'm wondering where the long shot kind of falls in on that spectrum. The first one I want to say, first game changer was when the Nexus Pro came out.
That'd be undeniable. I mean, just
for the fact that it was $50, something you could go to Walmart, pick up, and come to a Nerf war and be competitive, running either full length or short darts, whatever you had at the time. So Nexus Pro. The next thing I want to say that kind of was a game changer, that definitely was a game changer, was band blasters and their cages and the Banshee cages. I think
they're run for their money.
Yeah, so getting single stage and being able to get your flywheeler up to 200 just like that, but pretty much drop and play, I thought was a game changer. And then the third game changer I want to say is the fly core system that came out, and people are still making stuff for that and being creative with all different types of variations of that. So those are the three game changers I normally mention, and I'm kind of wondering where the long shot may fit into that, because it's $30, but at this point, people that are getting into the hobby, are they going to know what the difference between a Pro Blaster is versus something that's like the Insanity line, that's like, large and obnoxious, and something that, we wish Nerf would do or Hasbro would do and give us. So, are people going to, that don't know anything about the hobby, going to go pick up a long shot the same way they did when the Nexus came out? That's my question. And if you have any comments or opinions about that in the chat, please feel free to leave it. I'm very curious what people think about the where the long shot stands as far as a game changer in the hobby, alongside the Nexus, fancy cages from Band Blasters, and the Flycore system.
I think my vote is definitely, it's got to be, it's price point for me. That's, if you were talking about what it brought new to the table versus because a lot of things besides the bullpup, magazine area, like the links, and there is a unique breaching where the barrel goes through. I mean, if we're talking about just performance, Dart Zone's already been doing stuff similar, but not at that full retail price point, not from the get-go. I mean, so I think that's, if I were to say game changer, what separates it from other things, I mean, I spent $180 on a Lynx, when it first came out. This thing hits just as hard, if not harder, to be honest, when I got it tuned right. I've got one in the box on the floor right now that hits 260 to 270, and I put maybe $30 into it. It was a Scar barrel. So yeah, it's to me, price point is my argument for game changer.
Yeah. Talanax had a couple comments. Adding changed the hobby overnight with Flycore. Agreed. It's unreal what the Flycore system has done to the hobby in a year. I can't believe it's already been a year, but yes, agreed again. Talanax is also saying the long shot isn't a game changer like the Nexus, but it's like a Honda versus a Toyota. They're both new and hot to the table, but we don't know where the longevity is. Yeah, so I think I can agree with that statement. Like I said, I'm not quite sure where it falls in the spectrum, because I think a lot of people that, got into the hobby, a lot of people saw that people had Nexuses, so they went out and got Nexuses. But, it'll probably be similar to that, hopefully, just maybe not as on the same scale. I remember I went Nexus hunting for weeks. I think I went hunting for a couple weeks. I was like, no more, never going to do that again. And then the Aeon Pro came out, and what did I do? I went hunting for so.
And you just got the blue one.
What happened?
You just got the blue one, the Nexus.
Oh yes, I inherited a blue Nexus, which is fantastic. I'm not going to take it out and leave it in its box. It's a collector's item, and I will bring it out every now and then to say, "Look what I have that you don't have."
Okay, so Chris Harper's got something for us. He's mentioning that, he says, my 8-year-old daughter primes it like it's nothing. So he's talking about the long shot. So primability for youngsters is a thing, was the long shot, versus he has tons of stock Nexus and Strikers and stuff like that. So he's got younger kids than me, so he's got a valid point, I think.
So, Chris, I'm wondering, also, because I know when the Nexus came out, I know when the Mark 1.1 came out, people would double prime and have issues, jamming their blasters as a result. I'm wondering if I have 2 long shots. I modded one and I'm keeping one stock, but I haven't really had a full chance to actually play with them. So I don't know exactly know how well they perform. I used one for a 1 round at Dolphin County Nerf Club last month, but I still need to do further testing. Do you think the long shot, or this goes for everyone, is the long shot less prone to jams and double priming the way the Nexus was for people that don't know how to properly prime stringers that aren't skinny placers or don't have skinny placers in them?
Um, I mean, I think they both come with priming locks, don't they? So I think the double feed, somebody probably would have had to taken the priming lock out to double feed on a Nexus. I believe so.
No, I feel like you can pretty easily jam up the Nexus.
Okay. Well, then the long shot, I took mine out, but it's got that priming stop, so it'll stop at different points in the blaster, which is also another point for young nerfers. So, like with young nerfers, like when you were talking about, they would like half stroke it. Right? You can't half stroke a long shot, at least unless you take that piece out that I did, because it stops there on that ratcheting system and it has different levels. So that young nerfer can actually stop halfway on a prime. He can't push it forward again because it's stopped both ways. And he can continue to try to ratchet the prime all the way back to the catch and then push it forward. So he can actually, that young girl, he or she, sorry, I don't mean to, put a label on gender. So he or she can do a half prime, continue on a second try. So a really young nerfer can actually try to prime this on giving it more than one attempt and not jam up a dart, in theory. Now, when we talk about jams, I did experience jamming issues on the stock half dart magazine. I went over it on my video. I don't know if you saw my discovery on the stock magazine. Oh, let's see if I've got one. I don't know if you've seen this, Andrew. Was a stock magazine?
It's a very little delay on my screen, so let's see how long.
So the stock magazine,
Maybe
when you put darts in it, they don't stay straight. They kind of wave back and forth. So I don't even know if you'll pick that up on camera. But
okay. So Chris just said Nexus was people short stroking. That's exactly what it was. Well, on the prime, the ratchet system in the long shot won't allow it. So yeah, I think maybe the long shot may be easier to use in that regard for some people.
I hated it though, so I took mine out.
There. I have a delay on the screen, so it's kind of hard for me to see what you're doing. And then my phone screen, you're actually frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I hope I'm coming out on YouTube.
No, on YouTube you're great because I'm watching it right now for the comments. But on actual Discord on my phone, you're frozen. I think it has to do with
combination of me streaming and you doing uploads, and we're just overloaded. We're gonna break the internet by ourselves.
Yeah, Talanak said the only jams he's seen is the long shot is due to soft darts from the sun and humidity, which makes sense because that would do that to any blaster, I think.
Honestly, if I'm using Talon mags or one that holds the darts actually all vertical instead of zigzaggy like their stock mag, I'm not getting any jams, and I rattle this thing off. I don't do slam fire, but single shots I'm doing them pretty fast. And I mean, it rattles pretty off. Now, with the some of the Talon mags, there is a slight rubbing issue when you load them up on the feed lip on the J. Feeding, but it might affect how it feeds because it's supposed to hold the top of the dart. But anywho, I cut mine off, and I was having issues with the feed lip hitting on a Talon mag, and now I'm not having issues. This one all stock though. Besides a plunger tube replacement, spring and barrel.
If you're in the chat now and you want promote any upcoming or discuss any upcoming large scale or small scales, whatever, any kind of events that are happening, please feel free to post that and let people know. But I guess I want to talk a little bit about Passive and Endwar and APOC and BPOC and whatever other events are coming up and anything else that you can think of. There was, I know that the TNT events run by Zelkos and Jed Contra, the New Jersey and New York boys, are hosting these clinics and scrimmages too, so we can talk about that. But yeah, are there any events in your area or just in general that you've heard about or are looking forward to before we start talking about those?
Well, there's a group in the Hampton Roads Nerf Club. I haven't been down there in quite a while. They play 160 games for the most part, and then they do 200 FPS for like a Spanksgiving event in November, right before Thanksgiving. But they are mainly 160. So what's that? Super stock 150s, 160. So that's what they normally run. But I do want to make it down there. They got some cool guys down there. They got some people making and they got newer people that are newer into the hobby, just maybe like 6-7 months in, or maybe a little more. And then my local group here in Richmond, we're trying to get it together. So I think we're going to miss July just because the schedule is straight, and we're going to see if we can hit something second week of August after APOC. I still am up in the air if I can even try to attempt to go to that.
You got to come.
I know, man. It's the family, man. It's just
with all that FPS chasing, you got to come. 300 FPS all day long, and then
I want to bring my long shot. You know, my long shot. I got it tuned to hit about 280 or so. Not Chris's 290s, but I'm hitting 280.
Yeah, we gotta get Chris out there.
Yeah, Chris would have to take a pretty big trip, and man, that guy's probably busier than me. She lives kind of like a single dad life, so he's. I hope he doesn't mind me putting his personal stuff. So there's nothing wrong with single dad life. You know, he's a hardworking guy, probably harder working than I am. So props to him on that. I do, before we get into events, man, I'm kind of antsy. I kind of want to see what this does. I put this. This is the Foam-demic bearing scar.
I saw that. I'm very jelly. Jade, if you want to send me one, I will I'll be more than happy to test that out for you as well.
Dart, I've got my chronograph right here.
Let's see if this is the debut. Do you want to talk about it? What exactly it is?
So the bearing scar, I believe it was the same person that helped. I hope she doesn't mind me divulging some info. So she works with good designers. I don't know if you've heard of the Moose, where he's got that gigantic sniper mega blaster, mag-fed blaster. Have you seen that one? So he designed that. I've also seen him designed, I can't remember. I'm probably going to get it wrong. I want to say for the Hummingbird. A lot of people have questions about bearing scars and flywheel. And I've always theorized that if you had it right on the cage, no more than the length of the dart, that would actually help the accuracy and not hurt the FPS as much, because it's like right on the cage. You know, it's still just leaving the flywheels as it's going through the bearings. You know, that's the most, if you're going to try to do that with a flywheel. Anyways, this guy does. There? I wonder if my
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I get scared because I see, you know how you said things freeze up? I'm looking at the PC and I see things like, yeah, we lost it on YouTube for a second. I just watched it go and come back. So it's like a connection issue. Okay, well, we're back, guys, it looks like. And let me go ahead and I guess get FPS readings on this and quit just blabbing the whole time.
Review with foamdemic brain scar for the long shot.
Now this is stock, so stock barrel, stock.
Stock barrel, stock spring.
Yep. So 135, 143. So this is mixed darts. 149.
So it's probably perfect for 150.
146.
Yeah, 150 cap.
144. 147.
Louis dead.
Ooh, 110. I have some darts in here that went through a dual stage band blaster's cage, so just they're a little shredded, some of these. 150. I'm pretty sure that 110 was a shredded dart. 146, so I want to say that's good for 150 games. It brought that FPS down. I was hitting 160 without it. Like we're right at 160, 161 pretty much.
I'd like to know how accurate it is, honestly, because again, I don't really care. I mean, I do care, but it's nice to chase FPS, but at the same time, I want my things to fire straight, you know. That's why I tell people I run the Foxfire.
So that, I mean, I'm not very far. Accuracy seems pretty good, but I'd have to really get a lot further back to tell. You got to
set up Louis' challenge number 5.
Oh, I'll do. I actually will set up from. I can actually show you. I open up my garage door, and then I walk through the kitchen into the dining room, and it's a straight shot to shoot into the garage from the other end of the house. So I've got about a 55-foot range shot I can do in-house into the garage. So that's my indoor testing, so it's not bad. Just nobody can open the refrigerator while I'm doing it.
Yeah, so I guess we start talking. If anyone has any other questions or anything like that, feel free to throw them in. I guess we'll start discussing, let me see, actually, what happens if I try to multitask this and...
Louis was...
Still on?
Yeah, you're still on. I can hear you. Louis was saying that they lost me during the flywheel bearing scar info.
I saw that.
So, yeah, I mean, it was basically the Moose, and he had designed flywheels right on bearing scar right on a flywheel cage. I can't remember. I'm speculating Hummingbird. I can't recall. My memory's kind of fading on me there. Oh, you must have turned video off.
Were we off for that long? That's not good. I feel like talked about a lot in between that point.
Oh, no. I mean, when we were gone, it was like, I think about 8 to 10 seconds, maybe less.
Okay. All right, y'all. I just finished the Endwar photo, so I'm going to share that real quick before I get into discussing passive Endwar and other things. Share the group. Here we go. Everyone's about to get spammed. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you shared it across everywhere.
I'll do anything for clout. Everyone's notifications is just about to go off.
Have you had bearing scars before? Do people lube them up?
So, I've actually never used them. I know there was some discussion before that they weren't really effective beyond like 200 FPS. So I never really ended up getting one, but I would actually, at this point, since they've been out for a while, I would love to try them and see how well they work. I think the concept is cool. But yeah, just personally, I've done string scars and rifled at this point.
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm like some kind of foam-demic spokesperson, but I swear her scars are right on the money for a printed scar.
I've used France's AccuSabers as well.
I want to say their performances can be pretty similar.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I like the absence. I actually don't like the porting as much, just because I have a lot of like dictators and stuff that where I'm able to plug it up with no porting, for D-prime if I needed to.
All right.
Not that comes up that often, but occasionally, especially because a lot of these blasters have that slam fire feature, so I can't really get around it unless I want to disengage the slam fire and make my own, trigger mechanism different.
All right. Let's go clipboard. We'll do that, and then we do this one, and we copy and paste all this.
Yeah, one of the things that also, like, I know we were talking about the little ratcheting system in the long shot. If you take that out, it's when you pull the trigger, especially after you mod it sometimes, if you didn't slam the priming handle forward pretty rigidly, then sometimes when you hit the trigger, it'll make it nudge back and not disengage the catch, and it won't fire because it just kind of nudges it back a little bit. It has something to do with the slam fire mechanism. It happens in dictators and combos and stuff with slam fires I've dealt with too. But if you're using two-handed, then you're fine. But if you're trying to one-hand it every once in a while, it may just creak back and not engage a catch. Let's see. So Builder BB, I think he must have known that flywheel blaster I was talking about, and he said it was the MHP MP7.
What was it?
I think he said MHP MP7. I don't even know what that is. I remember the letters MHP, but I don't recall exactly what the blaster looks like.
Okay, I'm focused. All right, we got 7 watching. We had 10 watching earlier. We must be getting boring. Yeah, but
bedtime. That's what it is.
I'm also a little biased because I was a beta tester. Louis is saying the M scar is what he uses in challenges. It's pretty accurate. Scared to use a resin saver from France Foamworks because he's cracked them already when I tried to friction fit them to my striker.
Yeah, that's every once in a while. Printing tolerances are a little off, and things can be tight fitting. I've had to sand,
especially with resin. You never know what you're going to get with resin prints sometimes.
Yeah, the materials vary a lot, I hear. So, with resin printing.
There's like about a minute and a half delay, I want to say, between us talking and then the actual live stream. So we're in the feature.
I'm just happy I have audio.
Yeah, we have 8 watching now, so I don't know if that thing's ever accurate either. But I feel like we always were like, we'll go for an hour, and then we end up staying up until midnight just by talking. Time flies when we do these. But there's so much to talk about, which isn't a bad problem. But I completely understand if we lose people's attention throughout the duration of this. But yeah, so Passive was, when was it? It was the first weekend of June, so it was June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or maybe it was the May 30th. It was 2 days. So it was basically Friday was France's Foam Nation, which consisted of a con, a 3-blaster, or 3-gun, whatever you want to call it, course. And there was a panel, and Detroit Dart Talk was supposed to do a live stream or a podcast that day, as well as briefings for the HVZ game for the following day, and campus tours and everything. And then Saturday was the actual HVZ event run by the PSF, Pennsylvania Survival Fest mods, which consisted, I think, of an all-star team of the Penn State, Grove City, Goucher, I want to say. I know I'm leaving someone else out too. UMBC, or maybe they didn't have UMBC, but they did have UMBC because Bryn was there. And then they had the UMBC starting zombie squad, which is great because you're going to get quality with the UMBC starting Zeds. But yeah, I went in with little to. I actually really didn't have any expectations. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But I went up. We caravanned up with Al the Geek was there.
I see y'all went together. Cool.
We went together. So it was Al the Geek and Ben and his wife, Jetson, who takes our photos for the Maryland Film Alliance. Ben from Southern Maryland House of Nerf, and myself. And we also brought Elliot the Lancer, one of the local players, along. So we all caravanned up to Pennsylvania. I think it only took about 2.5 hours, so it wasn't that bad at all. And really scenic, very beautiful. I love going on road trips and driving through the mountains and everything like that. So it was gorgeous. And it was held, maybe Talanax can remind me where the actual venue was. I forget the name of the school, but it was right by Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is where France was based out of. So it was very close by. We got a hotel there for a few days. And that area, just where we stayed in Altoona, was great because it had a lot of restaurants and things you could go to for that. The actual campus itself, Penn State, Grove City, RIT, UMBC. I knew it was RIT, of course. John was there, and Pitt. So they had an all-star mod team. So that was my only expectation. Really, was I knew that the mods were consisted of an all-star mod team. Dora, Bryn, Spy Mike. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting names. I'm so sorry.
Talanax Armory's Discord. He said if we're going to talk. If you have it, he said, if we're going to talk past F and Endwar, he's like, get me on the Discord.
Yeah, send Talanax invite.
I don't know if I have any info on him, like Facebook or anything.
Yeah, if you can DM me or Danny on Facebook. Dora Brain, yeah. I know Dora as Kelsey, but yeah, Dora, Brain. But yeah, if we can send talent, I would love to have someone else on the stream so it's not just us two talking heads. Add a third talking head. Yeah, and Griever's in the house. Griever, what's up? I hope you're coming to APOC and BPOC. Griever's in the house. So I knew that I was looking forward to having that mod team because I was very confident in their abilities to provide a fun game mechanic event. So that's kind of the only thing I really knew about it. Josh France had asked me to be a vendor and just to kind of, he wanted to have me promote the Maryland Foam Alliance along with Ben with Southern Maryland House of Nerf, as well as prostitute myself out, my Dartsweep thing. I don't know.
You downplay it, but your content and what you bring to the table is a coveted thing as well.
I feel like every time I go to an event, they're like, who? But it's probably just me. So I wanted to go there and just help support Josh France there, just to be there. And then he had asked me to host the panels as well, which is kind of something I guess I do anyway. So that ended up working out. But it ended up being a lot of fun. I think I had like the largest table there. I just brought pretty much every single blaster, including your Super Soaker there, just to kind of show off. Because a lot of HVZ players, they're just strictly HVZ players, so they don't always get to see, some of the Caliburns and the Griffins and things like that. But there was a good dozen vendors there, I want to say, which was great for that venue space. Eric Ponko was there. Gargunkel was showing off some mini Griffins. Brian Builder BB was sharing table with France. Detroit Dart Talk was there, which was great. Because I know the only other podcast that I'm really aware of is 5 Minute Respawn and Dart Jam, which is hosted by our good friend Boomstick Mods, Meeker, Spud, Submarino, and Meeker. And I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, and Silly Butts. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting someone as well off of that. But so that was great to see them there. They had some really cool blasters. Like I said, Ben from Southern Maryland House of Nerf was there selling some merch, and that was great. I made the mistake of bringing my dog, Chewbacca, with me, who I now realize suffers from separation anxiety. Oh yeah, Maritime Foam. How could I forget? Yeah, Al and Maritime Foam were there. Yeah, Maritime. Oh man, so Maritime Foam probably had like a 16-hour trip just to get there, and I know that there was some logistical issues for him to actually get there. I think his car broke down or something, and some other things were going on. So I was glad he was actually able to make it, and I know he was running on fumes by the time he actually got there. But it was great to see him there. And it's always a fun time when Maritime and Al are there. But Al brought his cosplay prop blasters, which was fun to see. I know a lot of people actually haven't seen them in person. So it was fun to see those. Maritime brought the Double Punch and the Unicorn, and everyone was really interested in seeing those. So that was fun. Clowny Nerf was there. So that was exciting to see Clowny. And Clowny had yeah, Clowny's local, but just whenever Clowny is able to get out, it's always great to see him. And he looked good. He was looking good. So I was really happy to see that. And then Chris Caruso with Frumble had a table as well with Team Frumble. It was just him, but I think he was just showcasing and selling some blasters there as well. So it was a very intimate, and I'll kind of say the same thing with Endwar as well. It was a very intimate engagement as far as the vendors go, but it was great because I felt like everyone, I think there was probably close to maybe like 70 to 100 people that ended up coming through, which I didn't know what to expect, and that kind of exceeded. I was really kind of surprised, but the thing about it was everyone kind of stuck around and hung out throughout the entire thing, so that was really fun. I think one thing that helped that was that there was a 3 blaster competition with 3 stations that we set up. I actually helped run that along with the passive mod team, which were fantastic. They had I want to say her name was Star. It's probably not Star, but I hope it is. But she was like the perfect tour guide. She had the perfect tour guide voice, and she was walking the contestants through the course. And I had done it originally, and then I saw her do. She was like, "I can do it if you want to take a break." I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And she did it, and I was like, "Oh, you're a much better tour guide." People probably listen to you more than me, so that was a lot was
So you said it was was this like a shooting gallery?
Yeah. So basically, so they broke it up into 3 different divisions. One was stock, the other was super stock, and then the last one was 200 FPS plus. So the first station was cups that were hanging on strings, I think, on PVC, and there were 6 cups, and you had to shoot each cup, and each cup you got a point. This was all point-based instead of time-based. Maybe next year we'll do time-based, but it was all point-based. The second station was a long-distance shot, so there were 2 of the Nerf rival targets with the bell on it, placed at various distances depending on which bracket or which category you were in, and that ended up being the hardest one. Not surprisingly, we'll probably have to figure out something for that next year, because I'm not sure how many people ended up actually hitting that target. I think maybe 1 or 2 people ended up hitting the target, which was very impressive. And then the last part was the slalom, the actual course, where they set up PVC cover and some inflatable bunkers, and you kind of had a slalom through the course, and then hit the targets. There was two main targets and then a bonus target, which was it was like one of those catchers with the nettings that had different holes in it, and each one that you scored ended up being 2 points on the bonus round. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Ramen said Chewy was so cute, though. Chewy was cute when he wasn't barking. I will agree with that. But yeah, so that ended up being a lot of fun. I think had a lot of fun spectating that, and people were rooting people on. There was one contestant, I forget who it was, but ran strictly jolt through the entire course, which was hilarious, but it looked like so much fun and definitely was a crowd favorite.
You said time was not a constraint, so
no, yeah, it wasn't. So it was point based, really. But yeah, that ended up being a lot of fun, and I think people had fun with that. Elliot the Lancer, our local guy, ran a Harrier and ended up with a high score of like 38, I want to say. And then the next highest score was James. If you know James and Ezra, Ezra's father, I want to say, came in second with the highest score with 34, I want to say.
What kind of scars were they running?
I'm not sure what Elliot was running. I just know he's running the Harrier. And I want to say James was running a modded stripe, a really, really fun-looking red modded stripe. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I think there was each category. So the first category, I think, probably had like 3 or 4 or 5 contestants. The second category had the most people in it, with probably like close to 10 competitors. So that was fun. And then the final one probably had close to the same, maybe 6 or 7 after that. So that was a lot of fun. But everyone did a great job, and I think everyone had a lot of fun. I was impressed. I wish I had actually competed, but I was helping out. So next time, maybe it's something we'll do at Maryland Mayhem. As something to do during the 11th hour.
Cool. Not that y'all don't have enough events and enough game types. I mean, I still get jealous thinking about my times when I do go up to Maryland and what you guys are able to provide. So kudos to you guys, definitely.
Yeah. And then after that, we were running a little bit behind schedule. I think people didn't really start showing up until 11 or 12, so we didn't actually start the competition, which was originally scheduled for 10:30. I don't think we started that until around noon, actually. So we're definitely a little bit behind schedule, but I think it ended up working out because there was more people there, and once they were there, everyone just kind of hung out for pretty much the duration of the rest of the day. So after the competition and lunch, there was a panel, like I mentioned before, that I helped host, or MC, I don't know what you want to call it, but it was a creators panel. There was supposed to be two panels. The first panel was the creators panel. The second panel was supposed to be the event host panel. But we didn't get a chance. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, so we didn't get a chance to do the second panel. But the first panel was the content creator panel, which consisted of Al the Geek and Maritime Foam and Clowny Nerf. And we just discussed generally how everyone kind of got into the hobby and their viewpoints of how they are involved with the community in general and what we think. And then we briefly discussed actually creating content, which I kind of, in retrospect, wish we kind of discussed more because that's what the subject was supposed to be. But of course, we probably did that for about an hour and realized that the hour was already up by that time. And Josh was like, wrap it up. So we cut that at about an hour and 15 minutes. And at that point, we weren't able to do the second panel, which was going to be, I think, Detroit Dart Talk. I think Josh France might have been there. And I think Chris from Frumble, who runs one of the Ohio groups, we're going to discuss about hosting events, and I was going to help host that panel as well, but we just didn't get around to it, unfortunately. That would have been a fun one. But I think at that point, it was so late into the day that people are already winding down and getting hungry and starting to make plans for dinner and everything. So Detroit Dart Talk was supposed to do a podcast, I think, and they didn't end up doing that just because we ran out of the time. But they did end up running, I think, their Z13 HVZ game in the gymnasium as a warm-up to everyone. Also providing a tutorial on the specials that were going to be involved for the next day. And also there was campus tours earlier on, I forgot to mention. So all of that was great. I thought that format was really packed full with something to do throughout that time. So as well as just hanging out, and there was food that was available as well. So that ended up being a really, really fun time just on the first day on that Friday. So highly recommend if you get the opportunity, and it sounds like they're going to host again next year. If you're able to make it on Friday, definitely come out on Friday, check the vendors. Hopefully won't be behind time this time, and we'll be able to do the panels. The 3 blaster competition again was a lot of fun, and whatever else they got going on for next year. So let's go to the comments real quick before we get to day 2.
Yeah, I like the idea of the panels. That's nice that you mentioned that. That's another form of engagement that I don't really hear much about at an event.
Yeah. So I ended up recording it, and I somehow managed to leave my camcorder because I was shooting B-roll outside on the field because I was shooting B-roll footage as well as taking photos on my phone. And at some point, I must have set down my camera somewhere on campus. And then I got home and I realized I didn't have my camera, and remember that, dang, I left that sucker at the school. But luckily, I received a message and someone found it and they'll be sending it to me. But that camera actually had the panel footage on it. So I will hopefully be able to post the panel once I received the camera and finished my video highlight reel for passive as well, because there's some B-roll footage on that I want to use. But yeah,
glad you didn't lose the camera.
I don't know what shit. They said it still works, so hopefully, hopefully at least can get the memory card out of it and the footage there. So just going back, St. Aloysius College in Crescent, PA was the campus, and it was a gorgeous, beautiful campus. It wasn't too large, so it was manageable to navigate. Like I said, they did an extensive tour throughout the campus where they took everyone around to get familiar with, so I thought that was great. So that was St. Aloysius College. Chris says, what's up to Griever? Talon, yep, okay, yo, everyone loves Griever. We all love Griever. I agree. Griever, thanks for the stickers again. I'm going to do a post on that.
I need to grab some space. I have some spacers for this long shot. Chris Harper actually taught me how to make some spacers for the dimensions just in the slicer. But anyways, I've got some spacers to try out in this long shot, and might tune it closer to 150, more consistent. We'll see. I'm gonna go grab this. I'll be right back. I'm actually still on audio, just off camera.
No worries. I hear you. I'll keep talking head it. Talanax said Maritime's phone was only 14 with some naps. That is true. And you guys were coming from Louisiana, I believe, so 16 is definitely a drive. That's some commitment. I'm sure at one of these days I'll have to take a trip that is longer than 7 hours to get where I want to. But if it's anything like PSF and Endwar, I'll be happy to. Probably need to get down to Louisiana and have a rematch with the IDL Impact Dart League, because that was a lot of fun for Phone Pro Tour. You need the extra pre-compression after taking the ratchet outs, also the whole class. Okay, sounds like it would have been right up my alley gameplay. And the schedule was loosely handled in general. That is true, which was great. It was a casual time. I think it worked in the favor, and everyone had fun. So I always say, as long as people are having fun, there's not much more you can ask. DNA. That's what Chris Caruso from Frumble runs. And Chris and I are pretty good friends and hang out, go out to dinner whenever we see each other. So it was great to see Chris and his son Oliver, as well as Jordan and Barrett, and they brought along Badger, and I think Matt was the other one from Frumble this year. So it was also at PSF. They ran Z13. Yeah, Z13. So that's where I left off. Z13 was a indoor HVZ game where I think it was humans versus zombies at some point is what it is, if I'm not mistaken. I really wanted to play. I was wrapping up. I wanted to get some B-roll of it. By the time I got there, everyone was already done. So I hope if that happens again, I'll be able to capture some footage, because that looked like a lot of fun. I did see some photos from that. And I think some other people may have taken some footage of that as well. So that looked like a lot of fun. And I think it was a great opportunity to give everyone a warm up and just have some actual playing time that day. So thank you, Detroit Dart Talk, for that. That's the beauty of being up there where you guys are. That's the hotbed. Yeah, we are spoiled at least in the Maryland area and the Northeast, because we have the Uno guys, and also I guess the Virginia guys too. So we are very spoiled with and rich with foam flinging opportunities, I want to say, because we have the 3 groups here in Maryland, plus UMBC HVZ plays 2 nights a week. So we usually play at least one night of that. And then the Uno New Jersey guys, if they're doing that Cousins Paintball Field or having the TNT Blaster Clinics, competitive clinics up in New Jersey, we go to that. And then, Endwar was at RIT last year. which I personally had a lot of fun at RIT's Endwar. So I know people have their opinions about that, but me personally, like I said, if I ever get a chance just to play, because I usually don't, because I'm helping run the games, I always tend to have a lot of fun at that. So yeah, we're extremely spoiled in the Northeast. I do want to head up to the Ohio and play Dayton and Kane, DNA. I want to play with some of those groups if I ever get a chance. Boomstick Mods and I have been talking about getting up there at some point. Hopefully we'll be able to get a chance to do that. And it'd be great to get down to some of the Georgia games. Like I said, I went to school in Savannah, Georgia. I know that my school ended up having a pretty robust HVZ club at some point, and I know Drac, I think, went there for an event. So I don't know how active they are now, but I go to Atlanta. I go to Hotlanta and play some Nerf. And also our friends down in Florida now with Team Orca and Beef Squad. We had a great time with them. They came up to, Orca came up to Maryland Mayhem, but we met Beef Squad at last year's Endwar too. So really, a really fun group overall, just in general. And it was also, again, I saw Talon Axe at Passive and again at Endwar. So, I'm relatively new to the hobby, but it's always great when I see familiar faces over and over again. And it's really why I kind of love the hobby, is because of the people and sharing that same passion for foam flinging. So it was great. Yes, I definitely want to come down to SENC. That would be awesome. Definitely on my list. So yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything they want to throw in the comment, I'm going to grab a drink and then start discussing HVZ for Passive Day 2. But I think you probably can still hear me. Got to make sure I don't go to the restroom without pressing mute on the headphones. No one wants to hear that.
Well, I'm actually having issues getting these pins back out of this, out of the long shot.
The takedown pins?
Yeah, the foam demic piece is actually a really good fit. Maybe too tight of a fit.
Too good of a fit?
Too good of a fit if I want to take this off without disassembling the whole blaster. I cannot get these pins out.
There now. This is your home. Yeah.
I gotta find something that's like the screw size and long enough to be able to jam the pin through. And like I used my smallest flathead, but it's no bueno. So now I'm looking around the garage for any random thing I can.
How many long shots did you actually pick up?
What's that?
How many long shots did you actually pick up?
Oh, I have 2.
Yeah, that's just what I did.
I wanted more, but the wife said no. So that's a thing. So, oh man, what can I use to get this? Is the other screwdriver longer?
Is the fourth not an option? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's like I'm missing maybe.
BB just suggested using an Allen key to push in the front to take off spring pressure.
It's not the spring pressure, I don't think. It's just a straight up the, yeah, that's not enough distance to push it through. It's a straight up, pins. They're lodged in there, but it's such a skinny opening. I don't really have something skinny and long enough to poke through. So now I'm searching the graveyard.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, so the actual HVZ Day 2 at Passive. So, tell me I can find you. It dawned on me I could find you on Discord, Andrew. Yes. We are in a few of the same Discords. Feel free to message me. So day 2 at Passive was the actual HVZ main event, which I really had a lot of fun. And again, it's probably because whenever I actually get a chance to play, I'm going to have fun regardless. But I can say after being one of the organizers for Maryland Mayhem event, I definitely appreciate, and same with Endwar, I definitely appreciate what goes on behind the scenes to organize something like that and all the logistics involved, because it's a lot of time, it's a lot of commitment involved with organizing those events and trying to make sure everyone has a fun and safe time, most importantly. At those events. So I thought the mods did an extremely good job, and it's what I was kind of expecting from an all-star mod team. All of them were extremely friendly, extremely approachable. They did they did things like learn your name, which I thought was great, and there was definitely a sense of a tight-knit community there. And there are things that I would like to implement, hopefully, in next year's Maryland Mayhem. I want to say, okay, Talon Axe said he sent me a PM, so maybe we can get Talon Axe into the stream, and he can join us. So let me see. I'm not great at technology, so give me a second. Where are we? We are in Thirsty Phones. We'll send an invite. Oops. Copy the link. People are like, come on, old man, you can do it. Let's see. Now I gotta find Talon. Picture stuff.
Oh,
I know you're in here somewhere.
I got it. I stabbed myself in the hand, but I got it.
Don't die. Okay, where are you? So I know you're in the big chat for sure. There you are. There you are. Okay. All right. Sent you an invite, so feel free to hop in and we can discuss. I heard a beat. We had someone else in here.
Uh-oh. Who's that joining in?
Hello, Max. What's up, buddy?
We figured it out.
We did it. We worked together. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I yell at my employees like 15 times a day.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. The only thing I want to throw in about Foam Nation was the
oh, we're getting right into it. All right. Let's do it.
Because you already moved past it. Was Z13. They did Zombie Deathmatch, which is human versus zombie. But then they did, the way it's human versus zombies is you start with 2 human teams, and if you get eliminated, you join the zombie team. So everyone is always in play.
Okay.
And then they did Big Friendly Zombie, which is like a super tank that you can only take out with a special blaster while you're dealing with a couple of zombies. And the what is the BFZ rule? If he touches you, you're dead. But if you've hit him with a blaster and he's stunned and he touches you, you're just stunned.
Okay.
So it was something.
And those are relatively fast-paced games, correct?
Yeah, like less than 5-10 minutes.
Wow. Yeah. But again, I thought that was a great opportunity as kind of a warm up. Sometimes you show up to these large scale events and you don't get a chance to get your feet wet. And then this is what I was going to go into, talking about Mission 1, basically. But what I really loved about Mission 1 was that you could select your difficulty level, basically. So they had 5 different missions or 5 different groups, varying in different difficulties. So like Group 1 was basically the noob group, all the way up to Group 5, which was basically the vet squad.
It was fight a god in life and death.
But what I really loved about that mechanic was having the option, if you wanted to, especially if you had never played HBZ before, was you could join the noob group, get your feet wet. Now, I accidentally we got lost on release, and somehow we managed to end up in the noob squad, in the noob group, which was great. And everyone in there was a lot of fun. But I didn't find this out until later. But basically, the vet squad ended up becoming a troll squad, correct?
Yep, that is correct.
Which is great because it allows you to get some numbers on the Z side. And Endwar did something similar as well, which I thought was great. But it allows you to get the numbers up on your side. But they were told pretty much not to tag anyone, just give the Group 1, the noob squad, a scare, just a taste, and not to directly try to tag anyone. Although I did hear at some point, Bryn was like, "You can tag Andrew, that's cool." So that's in the video somewhere. Tag Dartsweep, it's fine. I think it was Ezra they were telling that to, so I wasn't taking that lightly at all. I was scared. I was legitimately scared.
Terrifying.
Always is. And so I thought that game mechanic of actually being able to play the first mission and then having the troll squads kind of, go after the other groups and focus on them. But I really enjoyed that game mechanic because I know just from personal experience, not me personally, but I've seen it happen. You spend weeks, sometimes months, looking forward to this large scale event or event in general, getting your loadout ready, making these plans, coordinating with your team. And then you end up getting tagged out in the first 5 minutes. And, depending on how you are, that is fine for some people. But for some people, that would make them a little salty, which I completely understand.
I mean, yeah, like you drive 16 hours and you get tagged out 4 minutes in. You'd be a little pissed off.
Absolutely.
But my favorite thing about there being like 5 missions in that first set was not only were there 5 different difficulties, but they had planned throughout the day for different play styles. Because so many HVZs, and what we're going to get into when we talk about Endwar for sure, is they only plan for their local community. So if you've got a speed squad based community, you haven't planned anything for the guys who are like, no, I want to stand right here and fight a horde.
Right.
And that was all these missions had a different feel.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I thought about Mission 2, was they basically let you choose what kind of game you wanted to play. So if you wanted to do puzzles, you could do puzzles. If you wanted to do take on specials, you could take on the specials. If you just wanted to run, you could do the speed squad. Or maybe they were the same thing, I don't know. But there were definitely different play styles I noticed in Mission 2 specifically that allowed you to cater to your desired play style. So I thought between those two mechanics of being able to choose your skill level, if you really, again, you didn't know, but if you didn't want to die in the first mission, being able to have that option was great. And then, like you said, being able to choose your play style was definitely something I really enjoyed. So that was Mission 1, basically, which was, what was our mission? I think our mission was basically kind of an escort mission and then kind of mini holds based off of that.
That was all the mission ones were because all of them you had to go and find someone and bring them back.
Okay.
Because ours, we had to go find John, who was playing Dr. Lawrence Kraft. But what was neat about that mission was we had to walk him through the disc golf course, but he was playing disc golf with Mega XL rounds, and you had to tell him how to point it. So it was, involved in some way. And then we got jumped by the UMBC kids while we were doing it. Story of my life. Well, they showed up to fight with us during mission 1, and I'm with all the Detroit guys, right?
Which group were you in?
I was with the guys from Detroit, so all the Detroit Dart Talk guys, the Ohio, Athens, like that crew. So legitimately, there probably wasn't a more heavily armed group at the event, because we'd all brought toys that we wanted to show off to people we never see.
Right.
So like I had the Hammerwald. I had that giant monster shotgun. And everybody in the group had a Meowser, because you're there with the guys from Detroit.
Right.
So you have to have a fly core.
Right.
So like we broke up like 4 or 5 charges from the UMBC kids, and then they just kind of wandered into the distance dejectedly, having got no tags. And it's like, well, what do you want us to do? We brought all this automatic firepower for a reason.
Was that group 2, 3, or 4?
I think we were technically on 3. We were on 2 or 3.
Okay.
But according to John, it played like what they had intended for 4 or 5.
Okay.
Because the UMBC kids were supposed to be on the other side of the baseball field with Brain. The group Brain was moderating, which was 4.
Gotcha.
We were on 3. That was 4. That was what it was. But 4 was giving them too much trouble, and they wanted to get tags, right? Because the UMBC kids, that's how they are.
Sure.
So they fucked off to the other side of the baseball field and walked into us, and were like, "What's this?"
That's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think we may have lost one member. I'm not sure who it was or how it happened, but we lost one member, I think, on that mission 1. I could be wrong about that, but that was a lot of fun just to get your feet wet. And then the fun mechanic was getting back into the doors of the gymnasium, I thought, because you basically had a chain link, Hands Across America style, to get back into the door.
And apparently, like the New York schools and the Ohio schools, they both always have that daisy chain rule in their rule set.
Okay.
But they've never seen it used as a mechanic. It's only ever a safety policy. They've never seen anybody actually be like, we can get more humans in if we just hold hands for the next 2 minutes.
Right. What did you think about the safety briefings that they provided?
I am of the opinion that every invitational event should do a virtual safety briefing. Like, because I think Passive did 2. I think they did Monday, Wednesday. Everyone should do a virtual safety briefing where you can check in and you have to like answer a question or something to prove that you were there and paying attention. Because that's the only condemnation anybody has is oh, well, you can't prove that people were paying attention. Well, you can give them a quiz, or you can depend on people being adults. But the amount of like ease that made Friday, Saturday morning for people coming in, because it meant you didn't have to be there. What was the Saturday morning briefing? Like 8:30, something like that?
Yeah, I think it was relatively early. So, and what time did the missions actually start? Because I know that we did the briefing and they showed the movie presentation, which is not the thing I really want to talk about. But what time was that?
I think it rolled at 9. No, missions started at 10.
That's what I thought.
And briefings were at 9.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I should have mentioned this before. Another thing I really like. So one constructive criticism I have with UMBC Invitational is something that I've learned that they call flavor. And what I define that, so like there was last year's theme was Scooby-Doo for UMBC, and I thought the game mechanics were fantastic. The missions were great, and everyone had fun. But the thing that would have really put it over the top and just really made it fantastic was if they had dressed up as like the Scooby, like committed to the characters of Scooby-Doo. Because I know Grove City did like Willy Wonka, and I think that they got like the theater kids to be some of the actors or whatever, something like that. But really like dressing up and committing and playing out the parts. So I was extremely happy and impressed with the flavor that was involved with Passive, and the fact that they created this whole, it was indie themed or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
So it was, their goal was to theme it to adventure movies and quest games and stuff. So like the BFG firing the stuffed animal rockets, those were badonkadonks from Borderlands 2.
That's funny.
Like, that was the intention there. It was Indiana Jones, National Treasure, Romancing the Stone, all that kind of stuff. And we'd have gotten more of that if it wasn't for the weather. Because, spoilers, Mike dies in Mission 4. He was supposed to get crushed by the boulder, but they couldn't put the boulder out because it would have blown away.
Did not know that. Yeah, so I thought like the fact that they had the script and the costumes and everything was just so well themed. Really, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. What I thought was really clever was during the briefing they had made that video, home video, kind of like the opening scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where taking the statue off of the thing, and then they basically ran away and entered through some doors, which then connected to the actual briefing itself. And I just thought that was a really clever, fun thing to have as a presentation, and kind of separate.
That's like big time, like old school, Western Ohio or Eastern Ohio, Pennsylvania HVZ stuff. Because like Penn State did like a Night of the Living Dead style game where they had like an 8-minute video of guys like fighting off zombies in the back of pickup trucks and stuff, where it's like, this was not safe. You probably should not have done this. And then
sounds amazing,
famously, like the Youngstown and Athens games back in the day, they were both huge into like their production value and stuff. If you want more about that, though, you need to talk to Brain. Like the 5-minute respawn guys, they're old school Ohio, Pennsylvania history guys.
Yeah. I'll have to talk to them. I'll have to talk to Buff and see what they have to say. But yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect. I thought it was really clever. Something I never personally have experienced. Like I said, I'm relatively new to the hobby, but of course, it's escalated and evolved very quickly. But that was a lot of fun. Mission 2 was basically choose your play style mission. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think
we were together on Mission 2.
I think we both did the puzzle mission because I was like, I'm not going to run. And I'm not going to die by a bunch of specials, so I'll go do the brain mission.
That was the theory.
And then basically we were led towards one of the fields. It might have been the baseball field, but
it was behind the athletic fields. So that's the same place we were for Mission 1 in my group.
Okay. Yeah,
we didn't gone through that field for no reason during Mission 1. Because the circle for where John was huge.
That's what I was going to say. All I remember from Mission 1 was our mod, something about us having to find their shoes and pudding so they could eat the pudding. That's all I really remember.
That's wacky. But yeah, we had walked that field, that like H, gone backwards through the forest to find John, and then we had to go forwards through the forest with John. But when we walked over there, because that's where we saw Nebula, which is probably my favorite special zombie from Passive, is their implementation.
Nebula was
with the ropes and the big hoop.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is, that's they stole from Mall Madness, and they'll freely admit that's where they stole it from. Because it's her mechanic at that time was hold on to the rope as a zombie and you're immune unless you can hit the pie plate on her back.
Right.
And
which
that was
someone
awesome.
ended up doing. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I remember
other Jeff ran around behind her.
Yeah, it was Jeff from A-Team from Canada.
After we got a massive speech about not running through the high grass because you might get ticks,
right?
He took off in his gym shorts and ran through it.
Both Jeffs are a lot of fun. So we got to that field, and then the object was there were plates that had to be collected that had numbers on it. So, but I will say Nebula came out of nowhere, like from a dugout, and I was behind, like I was lagging behind, and I got the shit scared out of me when it happened. Legitimately, I was not expecting that.
Well, the best part of that was the A-Team guys had been like milling around the dugout for like 20 minutes,
right,
taking pictures because it was the Mounties.
Right.
So they'd been taking photos, and we'd all just kind of been like, whatever, we got to move. Guys, we can't stand here forever while you do a photo shoot.
Right. Which I'm guilty of taking the photos. I'll remember that next time. So, but yeah, so everyone kind of went forward, and Nebula pops out from the dugout, and it's on video. I'm like, and I start running. I didn't know what was happening, but so we ended up having to get up there, collect the plates, and it had to spell out something, correct? I'm not sure what it ended up spelling out.
I don't remember because we had to deal with that zombie charge where there were the contentious tags, and me and Alan ended up taking the tag.
Right.
So I have no idea what happened. There's a Detroit Dart Talk where they had the time to like know all these details still.
Right.
Because I don't remember that. I know it spelled something. That was the password. And that got you into the temple.
Right. I was going to mention that. I feel like that incident was kind of the only contentious moment, kind of live, learn, do better next time incident.
Well, and so that incident, now that I have like a robust understanding of all the precipitating events, I understand how it happened. I also now have had time to review all the footage I took during that mission from 3 different cameras, because I had 2 on me and then my buddy Alan had one. And I know how many tags happened and the nature with which they happened, which is a whole separate conversation. But they had... So do you remember when they changed the rules about zombie respawns and being outside versus inside? Where now when zombies leave the briefing room, they are stunned. That was because the zombies had charged out the door to make tags in between missions 1 and 2 and had almost hurt people. There had been some falls. There had been people knocked over. A blaster had gotten broken. And so the zombies were of the opinion that they had made 17 tags in that charge. And the mod staff went, no, you didn't make any tags because this was unsafe play and you could have hurt yourself and others. So no, you made no tags.
Yeah,
so the zombies
were privy to any of that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't at the time, but we've had a month of the normal. This community is not that big. We're going to talk,
right?
So they had a bunch of tags reverted, so they were upset about that. And then apparently, one of the guys who had glomped onto the group we were both in is a Maryland, a regular player, goes to school there. And he's famous for not taking his tags. And that's why they were all out of sorts about, no, we got these 2 tags, you're done, da-da-da-da-da, is because they were already felt like they'd gotten slighted, right? So when your temper's already up, things are just going to be bad.
Right.
Now, I will say we got that squared away. We figured out a solution. Everybody was fine. But yeah, that was the only event I know of during the day that something negative happened in any way that anyone was privy to. I know some other stuff happened inside baseball, but it was all dealt with behind the scenes and amicably. And that's how that stuff should be dealt with, right? That we don't know it ever happened.
Well, it was very noble of you and to take the tag and let the game progress and let cooler heads prevail,
Well, that's the thing, right? the game needs to move on, and we need to not be standing here trying to figure out what went wrong. So let's just get moving on.
Right. Well, I appreciate you for that. I just kind of watched the whole thing unfold. I have it on my head cam as well, and I have my theories for why that kind of played out the way it did. But you live, you learn, and again, I think overall people ended up having fun in the end, generally speaking. So
it was a wonderful event. It was a really good time. People were involved, and it ironically it gave me an advantage when I was on the Detroit Dart Talk podcast and now here, where you played human. You have that side of it, and I'm like, well, I had to play zombie, so here's what happened.
Yeah. So how was playing zombie? Because, like you said, I was playing human for a majority of the time, as well as doing double duty, trying to capture content.
So, that mission 2, we got back to the briefing room and put stuff down, and by the time we put stuff down, people were walking in because we'd gotten stopped a couple of times on the way back. Because several moderators stopped us to be like, "Are you sure? Like, you guys are good?" It's like, "Yeah, we're good. Don't worry about it." And then, but like mission 3, because at mission 3 it was one mission, and that was the mission where you guys had to run that maze, and the zombies were supposed to be coming out of the walls. Right. I'll be honest, we had that was mission 4 technically. Mission 3 was mini missions at lunchtime. We had no idea what was going on. Like, we had a zombie briefing that took place before your briefing because Dora had to go back in to be in your briefing. And we're like, we have no idea what's happening. All we know is we're supposed to tag humans. But we had got given, me and Alan, because we had been valorous individuals, we had got given single weak point for that mission. So we had single weak point mega. And that's the greatest idea in HVZ. Yeah. Single weak point is such a game changer, either for making someone who's already dangerous incredibly dangerous, like Ezra, or keeping both halves of the game interesting for people who have any kind of like, I'm not fast, not anymore. I was never really fast, but it means you get to stalk someone like you're out of a horror movie, right? Because there's a scene, and it's in my footage, where I get like 6 tags and I just swim through a human group.
That's awesome.
And it's amazing. And so single weak point, that's my big takeaway from passive that everyone should implement, is single weak point zombie.
Cool. I'm going to write that down, actually. Single. And my phone just fell down as I did that. So, I had a lot of fun playing human. I sat out for that mission 3, I guess the bonus mission or whatever, just to grab some footage. And then I ended up sitting out mission 4. I guess they cut out a mission 2, though, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they did. So because of that weather delay, that massive weather delay in the middle of the day, they had mission 3 went on, but like truncated. It was shorter. But most of us went for lunch then. Like, right. It was lunch break and then mission 3. And I was having sheets. Like, there was nothing else I was doing there. Right. And then mission 4 happened, which was the one where Mike gets crushed by the boulder and, oh, surprise, Dora's the bad guy. And then there was supposed to be a mission in between 4 and finale.
Okay, but that's what I thought.
Because of that second weather delay, which was like a half hour maybe, and that first weather delay that was like 90 minutes, right. They had to cut mission 5. But that like boss rush portion of finale where they had each special NPC and you had to get through them, that was mission 5. That was a modified version of mission 5. Because finale was just supposed to be the humans on that oval green trying to win on the oval green.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense now. Danny, you doing all right there?
Yeah. I didn't want to cut anybody off, but I did want to try to fit in. We wanted to fit in some Endwar talk.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, absolutely. Just to wrap up, passive. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I made it to the final stand. I thought the theatrics on Mission 4 were fantastic. Again, I just really kind of liked that flavor and having that presentation. I thought that was a lot of fun. Probably just because I never experienced it before and it's kind of something I was looking for. So I thought that was really clever. And then the final hold, unfortunately, I thought it was a little anticlimactic for me. We got to the final hold. All the humans were in their group. I thought maybe I just separate and pretend like I was taking some B-roll footage. And Miles, of course, one of the UMBC vet zombs, just comes up and walks behind me and tags me. And that was my death. And I was like,
was the game mechanic, was it a zombies are gonna win game mechanic?
I was actually really worried for a second until we got to that circle that because we can hold the points. I thought it might end with a human victory for a split second. I was worried about that.
It wasn't supposed to happen as fast as it did on the oval, but as we got to the oval, I'm walking onto the oval, and it's me, my buddy Alan, and Danny Bogue. And you guys don't know who Danny Bogue is, but that is Ohio zombie weapon of mass destruction. Danny Bogue will change a game for the zombies. So as we're hitting the green, Mike is standing right there with a trash bag, and he hands Danny Bogue the single weak point socks. And then he goes, "You guys want some horde eggs?" And as we're dumping the horde eggs out and throwing them at people, Mike turns and goes, "Single weak point socks is in play. Horde eggs are in play. And every light post is a respawn." And the thing none of us were paying attention to, right, because we're playing the game, we're having a great time, is there is a giant dark thunder cloud coming at us. And
I remember
Mike wants
that.
the game over before the cloud gets there.
Yeah, which it happened right where we were taking the group photo pretty much right at the end. So it ended up working out a lot. No, again, before we get on to Endwar, I had a lot of fun there. Like I said, I think not having any expectations helped out a lot with that. Having Maritime Foam there and Al there helped out a lot, and Ben from Southern Maryland. And then again, just meeting new people and having the opportunity to hang out. Those 2 days was fantastic. So highly recommend if anyone has the opportunity to attend next year, definitely consider attending.
I didn't do Maryland Mayhem because, there's only so much Louisiana to the East Coast you can do in a given year.
Sure, absolutely.
But Endwar was good. Don't get me wrong, but Passive, by far the best game I've played this year.
I'm having a hard time deciding. Again, I'm pretty easy to please, but I had a great time at both events. So, yeah, again, definitely recommend coming out to Passive next year. And we probably both will be there for sure again. So, do we want to go into the chat? Does anyone? I know we talked a lot about that. If anyone wants to say anything in the chat, feel free to. If you have any questions or comments, anything for Danny, let's get Danny in here. Danny, how's the long shot going? You look defeated almost a little bit.
Oh, no. I was just I don't always have a lot. I've never actually played in HVC, so I don't have a lot to add to the gameplay, and the gameplay talk, but I was just kind of listening. But yeah,
come out. So you got to come out sometime for HVZ.
I put some spacers in that Chris Harper gave me some measurements for spacers. I forget. I think they had like 4 millimeters. I can't remember each, maybe. I don't know. You put one on the back end. You kind of like got to get a screwdriver in there and get the one on the bottom part, and then of course the one on the priming handle you can just slide on in between on each side of the spring. And I'm getting, you saw earlier, we're getting like right under 150. Now I'm getting about 165.
Nice.
Was there spacers in on a stock spring, stock barrel? I imagine if I change the barrel out, I might get a little more because the barrel is kind of loose,
What's your cap at Richmond Nerf Club?
Well, first of all, it needs to not rain, and then, we're kind of loose 150s. We're not really stringent. We'd rather you not hit above 170s if we're playing. It's a pretty loose cap, at least in my opinion. Yeah, but do we want to
stock rounds or low FPS rounds or silly rounds?
We do, because there are young people, so we do stock rounds. I don't think we have a lot of game mechanics because it all depends on, it depends on how many admins are running the game. Because like last game we ran, I wasn't even there, so I was working and another admin ran a game. I don't even know how many people showed up or anything. So I'm really not, I don't know. He says it was fun, but I wasn't really, we didn't have a photographer and things like that. So, but still, we have a small group that was actually surprising that we had. When we had one after rain, there was over a dozen people there, and like 8 to 10 people. I'm like, I don't know you people. You live around here? Seriously? But I think if we get the frequency up, we might show some growth. But I do think we're kind of stagnant right now, trying to get things off the ground. Just because if you don't have the frequency, the club, I feel, is dead in the water, So
yeah, definitely playing at least once a month helps. And then being in kind of a public view to gain that interest definitely helps as well. Playing in a park and everything, if possible.
If I could get more admin help, I think, but I have to be physically available. If any of the admins, if we were more physically available, scheduling wise, I think we'd be a little more successful.
Our big thing with Louisiana Blaster League was forcing the like old guard membership to move to this is the day of the month the game is the end. Like we play the second Saturday, we play the fourth Sunday, the end. We're not moving it for anybody.
Yeah.
Because that's allowed us to be a lot more successful with people from the outside coming in.
Yeah, that makes sense. Southern Maryland plays the last week, or it changes for them because scheduling. But Maryland Nerf Herders is always the first Saturday of every month. DMV Nerf Herders is always the second Sunday of every month. May have a week off, or Southern Maryland maybe the next week or the following week. But those are the days that we always have. UMBC HBZ plays twice a week during the school years, always on Monday, always on Thursday. So like I said, we're extremely spoiled, but I definitely think having that consistency,
you guys get.
Yeah, having that consistency definitely is extremely helpful. So, and then if something happens, you get rained out or anything, you just canceled, and which sucks, but that just means more people are probably going to show up next month because they need their fix. So
that's we play indoor on the Saturday game. The Saturday game is indoor, and that's also been a huge boon to us because. Like talking about it being 100 degrees for Charlotte, it's 100 degrees every game from like May to October.
Yeah, brutal. Where is your indoor venue? A gym or indoor soccer?
It's a church auxiliary building.
Okay.
We have somehow, by the grace of one of our members, convinced the Mormon church to let us use their auxiliary building. We had been playing the whole building, but due to some scheduling conflicts, now we're playing the gym.
Very cool. Very cool. And how many attendees do you get on average, would you say?
Between like 12 and 20, depending on the month.
Okay.
We're better during the school year than we are during the summer because a bunch of our like 12 to 18-year-old guys, they have football, baseball, church stuff. Because we're in the Gulf South, everybody's a Catholic.
Right.
So, they've got something Sunday, they've got something Saturday. It's craziness. And then, like one of our admins is moving to a new house. There's a bunch of stuff going on that way.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, yeah, I guess no one else has really mentioned it. I don't know if anyone is alive in the chat. It's been stagnant for a bit, but if anyone has any questions or comments they want to throw in regarding Endwar or just anything in general, feel free to. But Endwar, what did you think of Endwar? I saw your video. I saw your recap video. Thoroughly enjoyed because I was like, hey, I'm there.
People really dig when I sit in a chair and talk at them. So I think I'm just going to keep doing it.
It wasn't just that though. You interspersed like footage as well.
Yeah, I cut up the gameplay footage because I didn't. So in doing recaps for HVZ footage, it's like I am not going to just put an hour of effectively hobbits walking footage, right? So you can either speed it up drastically or you can cut it up. So I cut it up. And then I talked to people about like what the mission was and what we were doing. My first big thing is just like I said in my recap, I grew up in State College, Pennsylvania, which is Penn State. My family is from Columbus, Ohio, which is Ohio State. I've been to Pitt. I've been to Penn. I've been to like a dozen college campuses, including LSU. Charlotte is gorgeous.
It really was.
That campus is breathtaking. Now, the flip side is the campus is also like this. Because that was the maddening part for me of that university was uphill both ways every mission.
And it wasn't it was manageable. It was you were able to navigate, but it wasn't entirely the smallest campus you've ever been on as well.
And for me,
compared to Mount Aloysius.
Yeah, Mount Aloysius was like, whatever. It's kind of set up like this. You're going to walk downhill, then you're going to walk uphill. Everything's fine. And the whole campus is maybe, what, a half a mile across?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a big campus. But UNCC is huge. And one of the things when we were getting ready to go, because, like, I'm planning it with mods from Passive and a couple of the Detroit Dart Talk guys. And obviously, we're all planning at the last minute because we didn't have a whole lot of lead time. And like figuring out what we're going to do. And Alex from Detroit Dart Talk, who's the guy behind Detroit Dart Works, who made the AccuNub, plugging Alex. There we go. He went to Clemson. And he's like, UNCC isn't that big. I can't believe they're going to have it on this campus. Blah, 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 blah. And then he looked at a campus map and was like, they've built that much? Because what none of us knew and what I only found out because my fiance came down with me and was just like sightseeing and stuff on Saturday. Apparently in the last 20 years, Charlotte has increased its population by like 12 times. Like it was a 20,000 person city and now it's a like 120,000 person city.
Wow.
So they've had so much population explosion all at once.
I believe it. No, it was absolutely gorgeous. I love the campus. Again, things beyond anyone's control, like the heat and humidity definitely was a factor, but I still had a lot of fun. I wasn't going to go originally because no one really from Maryland, because they announced Endwar back in January, and then immediately they decided they were going to host it down in Florida. So there was that whole thing. And then they announced it again sometime in May, which gave a limited amount of time for people to coordinate and be available, especially on a 4th of July weekend. So originally I wasn't going to go because no one from my area was really interested in going or wasn't available to go. I know Al would have gone if he didn't have plans already, and maybe a couple other people, but everyone did. But then Derek Sykes, who is the brand ambassador from Dart Zone, who's one of our locals, and he's been out to our events and is a friend, asked me if I wanted to attend and help out with the Dart Zone booth for FoamCon, and they were going to set up something for HVZ in the morning and also have something for the Foam Pro Tour. So I was like, yeah, I will definitely go if you're going. So we ended up going together. He took his wife, Jordan, and their son along for the trip. So we all went. It was about a 6.5 hour drive, I want to say, so it wasn't bad at all. I got there, and then That was Thursday, and then there was a VIP or dinner, I want to say, that Drac was hosting that night that ended up being the mod team from UNC Charlotte. So I got a chance to meet them, which was fantastic, and I could tell by that initial meeting that they were extremely friendly and that that it should be a good HVZ experience just based off of that initial meeting. So I was excited. Also, who else was there? It was Jared. Jared from Jared's Epic Blaster Battle was there. So that was really cool getting a chance to meet and talk to him. It was Chicken was obviously there with Drac. Drac's friend Pat was there. There was Tally. I met there. Tally was there. Her boyfriend was there. Rogers was there. I know I'm forgetting someone. Will was there, and someone else was there. I'll look it up in a second. I told Tally I was going to give them all a shout out, and I'm forgetting names. And Wormy was there as well. So I got to meet all of them, and that was fantastic. And then Tally's there. Tally says our campus is 30,000 person. It's a 30,000 person campus. Yeah. So not exactly small, I would say. So it was great meeting
numbers.
Yeah. So it was great meeting them that night. Drac was of course there. Sky was there, and Naptown Nerf and Jill were there, who I've been to events before, but never actually formally had a chance to meet them. So it's fun to meet them formally and introduce myself, and extremely cool people. And then Ryan and Jesse from Silver Fox were there as well. So it was like a nice little intimate introduction to get things started. Derek from Dart Zone was there, obviously, which is why I was probably invited in the first place. But that was a lot of fun. And Charles from Containment Crew. There was a lot of people there, I guess, actually. But that was fun. We just kind of hung out at this brewery the first night, got some food, and just talked for a little bit. And then the next day was FoamCon. What did you think of FoamCon?
So, my thing about FoamCon was that room that like the FoamCon like vendor room was too big for the number of tables they had in it to begin with. And if FoamCon had been like crazy busy, it would have been okay because we all could have like milled around in the middle. But with how many tables were actually occupied and how many people were already present on Friday, that room felt empty.
Yeah.
Like, because there was you guys in the corner with Dart Zone, right? And then there was the Endwar merch booth, Containment Crew, Silver Fox, that Legacy Blasters guy who was building the old school stuff. Did you see his stuff? The finish on his stuff was nuts.
I mean, I did take some photos of that.
And then the Blaster Core guys with the Compensator Titan package.
Yep, John was there. That was amazing.
Room.
Now I have something I can do with my Titan instead of just having it sit in the corner. So
it's why it's there right now. Like, I've printed the parts. I just have to put it together.
Right.
And then across the way, there was Beef and Orca with like their combined table thing.
Right.
They were selling some 3D printed blasters, like one of their guys was, but that was it. And apparently, like Frumble was supposed to be there with a table, I heard, but Frumble didn't make it in time.
Frumble was supposed to be there, and I ended up taking their table for the Maryland Foam Alliance. I wasn't originally going to have a table. I just kind of brought some stuff along just in the off chance I could push some merch along that way, but it ended up working out because I think we sell merch at our events and everything, but I think this was the most merch I've ever sold at an event for Maryland Foam Alliance. So it ended up working out great. It was all like stickers and patches and things like that, probably because it was more on the less expensive items that were available is probably why we ended up doing well. But yeah, I mean, I will say I thought it worked out. Again, I thought it was great because it was that kind of like intimate, smaller gathering of people. especially after last year's, where we were in the big athletic building and there were so many people and people stopping. I had a table there too as well next to Al. But there was just so many people going around, and sometimes it was hard to, get a spot and talk to people. So like this year was really low key. I felt like everyone was extremely accessible. Yeah, there wasn't a lot to kind of show off, after you went through, the 5-6 tables besides Drax and Blaster Barns and Dart Zone, So I get that. But again, I really enjoyed kind of that intimate setting and having kind of that one-on-one experience. And,
oh, yeah.
If you wanted to see the Omnia, like that was the perfect opportunity to like actually see the Omnia, see the Outlaw, see the Thunderbolt. Get your time with it, not worried about like someone behind you, oh, can I see that now? There wasn't any of that. So I really kind of liked it.
You had time to like get to know people and talk to people Absolutely. That you'd only met online and stuff like that. But with the number of people who were there, I was deeply concerned about Endwar the next day. Like there were so few people on Friday that I was like, oh, is this going to be bad?
Right.
And then let's just use the segue, right? I had no reason to be afraid. Because the next morning there were a lot more people.
There was a lot, which again ended up being a lot of fun. But yeah, I will say that Endwar or FoamCon was probably not as populated as in years past, but I think it ended up being okay. I might have a different perspective just because I was a vendor and I was stuck there. But if you wanted to pop in, see the things, and then call it a day, you could, or you could hang out and get a lay of the land and just hang out for a bit. So I kind of like that. And I will say I was extremely happy that I finally got a chance to meet Drax's dog, Jinx. I don't know if you got a chance to meet Jinx, but
I met the real celebrity.
I've seen Jinx in all the videos and everything, and to see Jinx actually in person was a highlight for me. And that dog is absolutely adorable. So if anyone gets a chance to meet Jinx, definitely.
Jinx was pretty great. Jinx, you know what? Jinx is exactly how you think Jinx is going to be when you watch the video. 100% same in real life.
Fact. Tally just gave me a reminder. Emery was the other mod that was there. So
yeah, and I approve of Wormy having done all the reservations and like over preparing, because like BB just said, I expected it to be a madhouse. Like my anticipation was I was going to walk in, and we knew Luke wasn't coming, but I expected Out of Darts to have a presence, right?
Yeah.
I expected that. I expected Silver Fox, because I heard about at Rochester where Silver Fox was selling like their B grade prints for like a nickel. Right. I'm like, I'm going to buy an entire Caliburn in rainbow colors and build it when I get home. Right.
Right.
And then I get there and it's like, oh, wow, Out of Darts isn't even here, which I get it. Right. Everybody blew their wad on Maryland Mayhem. And because
everyone that did that.
Yeah. And because this ended up getting announced so late, nobody could re-budget, right? Could rebuild their lineup. Now it was nice that we still got Containment Crew and we still got Silver Fox, and I got stuff from both of them. I didn't buy anything fancy from Silver Fox, but I did buy every commemorative wheel that Containment Crew had.
Yep. I picked up some wheels, and I told myself I was not going to buy anything, and I ended up getting that full auto Nightingale, and I'm not sorry for it.
So and you saved I was me from myself.
Saved you from yourself. Because Charles brought them out, and he's like, I got the full auto Nightingales. I was like, oh, all right. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to get this before they sell out. And of course they sold out like midway through, I want to say, maybe earlier. And I was happy that
I tried to buy one on Sunday at Foam Pro Tour. He was like, no, they're sold out. And I'm like, yes!
I'm glad I stopped when I did, because I realized at some point he also had Harriers, and I don't have a Harrier yet. Maybe I'm hoping maybe he'll bring him to APOC. No, I almost ended up with a Harrier as well. But I'm glad I showed some restraint.
I am anti-Harrier, but we're not going to take that tangent.
No worries. Let's see. Rochester FoamCon was massive. Yeah, it was really massive. So this was definitely a more intimate engagement for sure. I think people definitely are used to kind of the larger scale foam cons, but in this case, I think with the short notice and logistics involved, it ended up working out okay. And also, like you said, it probably saved you from spending a lot of money as a result. So,
which is good because my fiance was with me, so I wouldn't have.
But there's always next year, which may be bigger. So,
I personally probably would have been slightly disappointed, just because, especially the size of some of the ones that I've seen you get to experience. Right. So, for somebody not having gone to one, I would have appreciated what was there, but I probably would have felt, disappointed just from seeing some of the other ones. I would have liked to see a lot of vendors.
So this is not my first Nerf event. I've been active in the hobby since 2005, but this was my first FoamCon. And so to walk into FoamCon and it be this kind of like, oh, there's a bunch of people I expected to see was, like I said, it was concerning for the next day.
Yeah.
And then I walked in on Saturday morning. It was like, nah, never mind. Everything's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, I can say that last year's FoamCon definitely was not like that. So hopefully next year, if you attend, you'll see how it normally is. So, one thing that you mentioned in your video, which is completely understandable, was the fact that we weren't actually able to fire blasters in the building for FoamCon, which would have been nice to do, especially for Dart Zone, because they were showing off the Omnia and Outlaw, and I'm sure people were interested. But people got a chance on Sunday if they were able to attend. But that was probably the only kind of surprise, we found out that day of or whatever.
That was the big surprise that day. And then Saturday morning was the revelation of, if you are taking a blaster into the building, you need to hide it.
Yeah.
Which I understand why it is a rule for the campus. I have no issues with the rule. I have no issues with the implementation of the rule. That is the only rule, however, that I go, really? Because I would be much more comfortable with, you have a Nightingale, right? I would be much more comfortable with you carrying that Nightingale in your hand into the building than shoving it in the front of your pants and pulling your t-shirt over it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But that's a me thing, and it's the campus policy. And as I said in my video, I don't give a rip about how I feel about that policy. That's the policy, and that's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I thought everyone was extremely respectful and did what they could to abide by those. I know on Blaster check-ins, and you mentioned it in your video, on Friday during FoamCon, they were doing Blaster checks, and they had an officer in there and, making sure everything was looking good, which, respect, they've taken that effort to do that. So I appreciate that.
My favorite part of that officer was him announcing excitedly that he would approve things on Friday, but he wasn't going to be there Saturday.
That's funny. And then, like you said, when we showed up Saturday, I don't know what time you got there. I think we got there around 8, but there was already a good amount of people. Well, so we tried to go into the side door, which we did, which we didn't realize the building was closed at that point, but somehow we were able to get in through the side door, and then went out the front door and saw all these people, probably like the amount of people that were actually at FoamCon to begin with, getting loaded up. So that was, nice to see. And they had moved registration outdoors. And you want to talk a little bit about what was involved with registration, with the pins and everything like that?
The only way you could register was if you'd already done your safety briefing, which was a great idea. Go to safety, then get registered. And then they had a card, which give me a second.
I have mine around here somewhere too.
I knew exactly where mine was because I stuck it up there today. Which you had this card with your name. Yeah, with your name and what faction you pledged. And then on the back, and this is what every HVZ should do from this event, were all of the pertinent emergency numbers. So if you had a problem, you could call the police, you could call first aid, you could call whoever you needed, and you had all that information on the back of the card that you were required to have on your person.
Yeah.
And then that's also, you got your bandana, you got a pin related to whoever you'd pledged to, right? So you got an Athena pin or a Dionysus pin. And then they had other buttons, pins that you got for various things in game. And I would grab my Athena pin, but I'll be honest, I got back and I gave it to my roommate because she has a thing for Athena and she has a thing for owls. It was like, here you go, have it.
Yeah, there was some really good swag that was available at this, including
I'm still trying to get Wormy to send me a Dionysus pin because, living in Louisiana, I need the wine one.
You heard that, Tally? I think Tally's in the chat. So
yeah, me and Wormy just need to figure out shipping. We're talking on the Discord.
Right. So that was a lot of fun. Registration was simple. Saturday Blaster Text was simple. They had 2 chronographs going. So that was simple. And then gameplay started. Mission 1, which I know you were salty about Dora becoming Troll Squad. But I will admit I was guilty of that too and left my squad hanging.
Lots of people were, right? But I'll be honest, picking on Dora is just like a pastime for me.
Sure.
But it was our issue was. So we're there in the room and Wormy was our room moderator at that point, right? And we're there and we're getting ready to go, and they're like, we need one person from each squad to go Troll Squad. And it was like, oh, okay, that's a really good way to do it. One person from each group, whatever, who cares? And so Brain drops his shit like that. He's like, I am going. Well, here's the thing. The only reason he got up there first was he was faster than Dora because she was right behind him. And as if that wasn't enough, Derek from Pit Tech went with them. So of our 8 people that we had with us to play, 3 of them just pieced out to go play zombie. And no one else in our room, none of the other squads were like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll go Troll Squad. It was like, nah, it's cool. They all went. We don't need to worry about it now.
That's funny. I believe there was 4 starting zombies originally to start out. I think it was David from UMBC, oh gosh, I'm forgetting who the other 2 were.
It was one of their locals. Like they had a zombie. They had a mod who was a starting zombie.
And then they had Derek from Dart Zone jumped in as one of the starting zombies before Troll Squad was created, which I thought was extremely funny. And I'm glad that he was actually able to participate and, get a chance because he's always, representing Dart Zone and having to do that. So actually him getting a chance to play was really fun for me to see him. But then they asked for Troll Squad, like you said, 1 from each group. I forget who went from our group. Oh, it was John from Blaster Corps decided to go. And then they were like, we need more Zeds, And I was like, well, if that means I get to go into Mission 2 automatically, I'm totally down. So I joined the starting zombie horde, which was a lot of fun. And they gave us, we went down to where the tower was, I think, right by the clock tower.
You guys got all the toys for that mission.
We got all the toys. We got shields. We got spitter balls. I forget what else. I think we got noodles as well. So we got a lot of good
stuff. It wasn't a spitter ball. Because we need to mention this, like I did in the video.
That is true.
They have no stuns at that campus.
That
if a zombie does it, it kills. So it was a spitter ball that if it touched you, you died.
You were dead. Yeah.
Now it had to be live. Like it had to be thrown. Once it landed, it was a dead ball.
Right.
But that was a terrifying concept.
So I felt really bad. I saw this played out, but basically there was a human group. I want to say it was Naptown's group. They were walking. Rogers was up on a balcony on a second floor and literally just dropped the ball on someone and tagged him. And I was like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? But that's the game. And the fair tag. That was fantastic.
If that was Athens, Ohio, Rogers then would have dove off of the balcony behind the spitter ball to get a tag.
So I started off.
If you get the opportunity, go play Athens. It is the Wild West of HVZ. There are no rules there. You just do whatever you want. They don't have an FPS rule. They just have we might tell you to stop using it.
Oh, geez. Zombies is hard. Just looking at some of the comments. Yeah, so I found out the hard way because I play basketball and I'm athletic or play sports or whatever, I can throw. But I've learned recently that I should probably never be a spitter because I can't throw worth. For anything. I discovered at Passive those little playground dodgeballs. Mm-hmm. They're not easy to throw well, but you can punt them about 35 yards. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know if we were allowed to punt, but yeah,
nobody told me I couldn't.
That's true. But my throwing leaves a lot to be desired. And then I ended up switching to shield, which was great because at some point they went to, I guess, what they call all the humans towards the end of the mission were stuck in that kill box. Yeah. And I feel extremely bad, especially since how I was talking about, like, at Passive, being a human and not getting tagged out in the first 5 minutes. Man, I must have chain killed like 5 people in that kill box, and I was like, why did I do that?
That was the other thing about UNCC. There were no zombie pursuit rules. There were no zombie kill time, like kill cooldowns. There was nothing. So like, you could make tags all day long, one after another.
Yeah,
and Killbox was effectively, there were buildings on both sides, a staircase on the far end, and one open side that flanked a road. And like any game, the road is out of play, right? So if there had been enough zombies or few enough humans, they could have legitimately backed the humans up to a road. Like, the only reason the humans were doing as well as they were in Mission 1 was you just didn't have enough zombies yet.
Yeah. Which I think we ended up, there was about, I think there must have been like about 20 of us after all was said and done, or close to 20, maybe it was slightly less. But like I said, I ended up getting like some chain kills and some tags, and I felt extremely bad afterwards. I was like, oh man, I played too hard.
There were enough zombies after Mission 1 that all of the OZs could have went back and played human as well, and they still would have had a horde.
Yeah.
Like Mission 1 was also a well done mission, right? It was a campus tour mission. Go find the artifacts, bring them back, and you had to bring them back to Killbox because that was the armory. But the problem with bringing the stuff back to the armory was apparently the humans, someone had come in with one like 10 minutes into the mission and gotten killed, and the zombies had recovered it. So humans lost the mission before any of us got back to Killbox. Because we had to recover all 24, apparently. And it's like, nope, lost that mission. Because Dora told us that like 5 minutes into Mission 2 when we were hiking out to run that, oh, we lost Mission 1. You didn't know? And it's like, no, we have no idea what happened.
So let's see. Tally's saying Cassidy is the resident career zombie for them. Sack Tower. No punting. Smoker balls must be thrown. Okay.
Yeah, that was at Passive that I was punting them.
Okay. Yeah, so that was extremely fun. I didn't get a chance to, because I wasn't running human, so I wasn't quite sure what the human objectives was for that mission.
So we had the same objective, technically. because the goal was to recover all of the artifacts from the armory. The difference is you guys could hang out in Killbox and wait for us to bring them in and then steal them and take them out of it.
Right.
What you guys got told during your briefing and we didn't get told during ours was there were 24 artifacts that we had to recover. And apparently like 5 got recovered total. And 7, you guys got 2, humans got 5.
NPL USMC is asking, what's y'all's best HBZ ever attended? I guess we can get into
that's
that.
One of my locals. That's Noah. And Noah, you already know the answer. It's passive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, so I'm always going to tell people to go to Maryland Mayhem and the UMBC HV Invitational. But I will probably say, from experience and what I've heard, probably the ones I would go to are definitely passive. I would do Endwar again, definitely. But one that I haven't been to that I've heard great things about is Mall Mutation.
Yeah, I'm trying real hard to go to that in October.
Yeah, so if you're in the chat, please tell us what your favorite is. Danny, you hanging in there?
So
I am. I probably just got, honestly, a few more minutes. I got to get up early. I work early in the morning.
We can kind of wrap this up. I guess we've been on here for a couple hours, but at this point, I sat out. So mission 2 was the maze mission with the Minotaur, Arachne, and
in terms of design, that was the coolest mission in an HVZ I've been to since the pandemic. Like because the way their maze was set up, where if you're human, you can only go upstairs, and then there were one-way barriers. It made it actually feel like you were dealing with a maze instead of just, we drew some lines on the ground, stay in the lines. It was stunningly good. I can't describe how good an idea that is.
Agreed. And I really liked the NPC characters that they had, basically. It was what Rogers was, the Minotaur. What was that special? We chased the closest human group in front of them, basically. Wormy was Arachne, so she had a throwable that was connected to a string.
I played with Arachne a lot. Arachne was a throwable connected to a string, which I think everyone's going to steal next year. That was amazing. And then a belt of noodles.
Right.
And the belt of noodles almost killed Wormy, but they were cool.
And then Tally was Achilles, if I'm not mistaken. Who had a basket of teddy bears. Oh, okay. Emery was Achilles.
I think Tally was Killa.
There you go.
With the basket of teddy bears, because she's the mother of monsters.
Yep, that was funny. So, and then you had to collect letters and basically spell out some words. I forget what the words were. Then was it you that solved it?
It was Alex from Detroit Dart Talk.
Oh, okay, I knew. Yep.
It was Alex, and I can't remember her name, and I'm a terrible human being. But we had like 2 or 3 people doing the puzzle, but it was like Olympus prophesized underworld foretold or something. I could go find my notes for my recap video. It's in there. But we solved it missing like 5 or 6 letters.
So funny enough is I had one of the letters and I thought I had like dropped it out of my dump pouch or whatever at some point because I just could not find it. But I got home, went through my dump pouch, and magically it appeared from the very bottom of the dump pouch, and I still have it. So that's momentum from that mission.
It's getting through this quickly, right? And then mission 3 was it's apparently one of their like signature missions where you got to go point to point. They call it a briefcase mission, apparently. We had these tablets. You had to solve the riddles. That mission legitimately almost killed me. Like lots of people. Yeah, lots of people. It was the height of the heat of the day, and that campus down, up, down, up, down, up. My knee started acting up because I played rugby in college and high school. So my right knee is a nightmare. And it was just like, no, I know this is going to be bad. I need to be done.
Yeah, and you guys your group ended up doing a medical out, basically.
Yeah,
right?
we did a medical hold there, and then 4 of us peeled off and went back to the briefing room, and then I called it a day there. And then mission 4, everybody went out to run mission 4 with the tablets and take them back to that same courtyard where we had to decipher. And a bunch of the zombies decided it was more important to kill 7 humans than to go finish the final stand. So humans won UNCC because of the Magnificent 7 being irritating.
Well, so which was strange because when we were released, our group was harassed by a good amount of zombies, and our squad basically, more than half of it got pinned up against this pillar somewhere, and our squad just basically got decimated. And I ended up with James and Ezra, Bo from B Squad. There was only a handful of us, and we were able to somehow get out of there and then make our way. Our mod was Will. We were able to make our way to Belk Courtyard, I think is what's the name of it, and do the final stand there. But it was extremely dicey up until that point, and I'm not sure at what point the zombies went off to go after you guys. You guys were the Magnificent 7,
I wasn't there, right? I had gone back to my Airbnb, but yeah, the guys I was with, and then one of the auxiliary guys ended up at a different location, and the zombies decided it was more important to end them, and they just were like, I guess we're gonna make our final stand right here, right? Cue the music, let's do this. And then they made it to 8:30 and the humans had won.
Yeah. So I was one of the surviving humans. We didn't really have much engagement for the final hold, but I think at that point, a lot of the zombies were either trying to get that other group, your group, or they had just quit or had enough and knew that.
Yeah, like everybody else, they were wore out. It was hot. That campus, anywhere you went, uphill both ways.
But I still had fun. It was a human victory, which I don't think I've been a part of for a large scale event. So now I can at least say I was part of the human victory for that event. But yeah, overall, fantastic time. The mod team knocked it out of the park. Foam Pro Tour the next day was extremely fun. Did you compete in that? You guys had compete. four teams, right?
I came out to see what was going on and how people were doing because I hadn't seen Chris Caruso, and we've been corresponding. Hey, we're both going to Endwar, and so I went to see Chris, and then I ended up buying stuff from Containment Crew. So
we're both guilty, but yeah, Foam Pro Tour. I competed in last year's Foam Pro Tour with Magic Smoke. Had a lot of fun doing that. I didn't make it to the finals, but I was there for the final for the Dart Zone Foam Pro Tour. And yeah, this year's, it was there was no qualifiers or anything like that. So it was just round robin. I felt like the teams at this point have competed together already before. There was that camaraderie. So I don't think there was very much drama involved. Really impressed with a lot of the teams. Impact Dart League. You guys had your 4 teams. We had our team Ramrod, which was originally Team Foam Rain. Had a couple members dropped out. Picked up a couple people from the original Orca team. So it was me, RJ Bree, and the guys from Orca. And we ended up getting 4th behind Midnight Terror, the Chicago group that came out of nowhere. I think they competed last year,
which was like one adult and a swarm of children, apparently.
Right. And they like won pretty much every single match up until the end. It was impressive. I was really surprised by that. Very impressed. Dart Zone, Derek decided to make an impromptu team there, which was really fun. They were all running Dart Zone blasters again. So someone was using Omnia. Derek had the Mark IV. So that was fun to see. And then the finals came down to Frumble and B Squad. And B Squad lost one of their games. So they basically were in the losers bracket and fought their way back all the way up, having to play Frumble twice. And they took home the win. And that was a lot of fun to play in, be a part of, and watch the finals as well. So I say overall, I had a fantastic time at Endwar. It was a great experience, and definitely looking forward to doing that in passive again next year.
Oh, I agree. They were both a great time. I am super enthused about passive too. And I want to see what happens with Endwar, right? I want to see what this means for Endwar, because obviously Endwar was coming off of last year where there was some shenaniganry, we'll say.
Again, I had fun. I had a blast, but
I heard great stories. I heard terrible stories. I wasn't there. I was at Gators versus Zombies the same weekend, actually.
Okay.
So I want to know what this leads to, right? Are we going to see an Endwar again in the South, or are we going to see an Endwar up north somewhere again? Like, that's, what's this going to lead to?
Yeah. And I know on Sunday that Drac had mentioned that he really enjoyed it and definitely would consider having it there again. So must be doing something right there, UNC Charlotte. Kudos to you.
Yeah, but let's get this done, because Danny's gonna just walk.
Danny's got bed. This is what always happens. Is like we're gonna stream at 8:00. We'll do it for like an hour and a half, and then the next thing we know, it's like 11:30 midnight, and we're like, oh, we got an event tomorrow. So this is a good time to sign off. It was great seeing you again. I hope you're able to make it down to Maryland Mayhem, and if not, I will definitely see you at Passive.
Yeah, you got to
I want to get up to
one on the calendar. Put that one on the calendar. The Maryland guys are awesome.
Yeah, I want to make it up to that neck of the woods. I want to make it up there, and I want to make it to Ohio. I want to go play Kane.
Yeah. Let me know when you do. Maybe we'll rendezvous. Maybe we can all
figure it out. But I'll see you guys later. Thanks much for having me.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely. Danny, you got anything else to say?
No, just appreciate the time. Thanks for all the viewers. I think, even though we don't have a lot of viewers, it's all the important people. The people are hardcore into it. So I think it's always a good time. So
yeah, I always enjoy this. I enjoy the platform. Thank you for hosting on your channel. If you guys aren't already, please like and subscribe Thirsty for Foam, and check out the Richmond Nerf Club down in Richmond, Virginia, as well as the Maryland Foam Alliance events up here in Maryland.
I already plugged Label. If you're this far south, we're the only game.
Very cool. Well, I will say my catchphrase, and I will see you and talk to everyone soon. So, well, I'm attempting to do this, but I never do. But anyways,
Dartsweep.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right. Good night, man.